Hey, what is going on, everyone? It is David Palmer, the Leo King, and Brian Scarborough, Fixed Air Moon, here for Spiritual Daddy on this August the 8th of 2022 in the anus gate of the Lion in Leo. What is going on, Brian? How are you doing, brother?
Doing well. That's so funny. You mentioned to me what Chris Brennan, another astrologer, had put up on Twitter, and I was getting a good laugh out of that with the precession of the equinox going right to the anus of the Lion. There's your portal, folks.
There's your portal.
Everybody wants the portal.
It's fucking crazy, especially how the spiritual community has become very obsessed with. I don't think it's bad to have obsession with portals. I just think it's about knowing what has really got the astrological, I mean, there's a lot of astrology on this 8-8, but it's kind of a big choice point for people. But I would say that it's like, I've been saying, like, you're your own gateway. You don't need to look for some gate. Like,
yeah, it's just bigger than numbers, right? Because it's like the 8-8 is, every year, here's your portal.
And especially like people in Australia,
portals aren't repetitive like
people
that.
In China,
right?
Like, it's like, if you notice all the 8-8, like Lionsgate people are saying it when it's our 8-8, even though, like, what about all those people in China
Australia.
when they're on 8-9? Australia, they're on 8-9. Right. Like, it's just so.
Their portal was yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So,
which the astrology is the same at the same moment for all of us at the same time. Doesn't matter the calendar.
Our time.
I know.
Calendar.
Yeah, our bullshit time.
It is calendar. Potent astrology, though. So, I mean, hey, last year was the same. Last year was a new moon on 8-8. So,
I know. And that to me is what, I guess if you were to call a gateway into the sign, I say there's Cancer Gate. There's,
right.
Although, when you say gate, it's like Watergate.
Oh, yeah.
Right. It's kind of like one of those weird things. So it's
gatekeeping.
Like, yeah, it's like, I feel like it's an important time for people to like stop they look for the exterior, like they're imagining like a gateway. And then I saw a bunch of people put posts up of like Mason fucking B&J pillars with a lion, and they don't even realize.
Mm-hmm. High priestess.
Yeah. It's very high priestessy shit. And then actually a lot of people putting it out are, the high priest is a great card, but it also is a card to be fucking nervous about because, like, you don't know. Like, you're the magician. You have to remember before the high priestess.
Right. If you don't remember your manifestation in that, then you can get lost. Because intuition's funny like that. It can be our best friend, our greatest gift, and it can also send us into a delusional tailspin at times too. So,
yeah, 100%. So, I mean, what subjects are we going to cover today, brother?
Oh, I think we're talking about some breakups, which I've been through a few of those, so I'll share some of my takes. What were some of the other topics? Divorce,
breakups, dating sheep. Is it worth it? And how do you heal a broken heart?
That's a complex question. How do you heal? So I think there's a lot of good topics to cover. We'll see where it goes.
I do kind of want to cover something. I know it's off our whole basis, but you and I were talking about it for just a brief second. But it is kind of a weird moment right now in the world with all this astrology that's coming up that's very extreme. And I know people are probably like, well, it's been extreme for so long. And it's like, I know, but it even gets weirder. And a lot of people today think the shocking energy or the story is, of course, former President Trump being raided, while at the same time Joe Biden's getting out of a helicopter, can't even put on his jacket, dropping his sunglasses, and is, it's his Department of Justice. And we've never seen this before. Even Aaron Burr, who was a vice president, who fucking shot Alexander Hamilton, right? Like, fucking didn't get this. I don't know what your take is, because I feel like there's this weak masculine who can't even like do anything, but like has the lowest rating of any president of all time, literally.
Mm-hmm.
And is also trying to not let a former president run. I mean, imagine if Trump did this to Obama. You know what I mean? Like masculine to masculine version of this understanding.
That would have been all out war. I don't know. It's very strange. Just all the attacks on Trump. I mean, he's been out of office for almost 2 years now. And the fact that people are still going after him for whatever they want to go after him. It's like, the dude's done, like, move on. You know, it's kind of wild to give someone that much power just as a threat, like that he's that big of a threat still. Like, you realize you're like, people are feeding that, you know, Democrats and the left are feeding this energy, and Trump probably loves that. Could you imagine getting your huge estate raided?
Well, he wasn't even he was in New York.
Right, he wasn't even there.
And that's what's crazy is the Department of Justice and the FBI, you know, usually if they're like going to do something like this, like, of course they know if you're going to be home or not. So like Roger Stone, for example, he was home, but then they tipped off CNN to be there with them.
Yeah, it's all
when they raided Roger Stone's house. So it's like, in this case, they're like, all they had to do was talk to his Secret Service, because the former presidents have Secret Service, right? And so all they had to do is be like, oh, he's in New York? Great. No. Because imagine they didn't want the scene, or they didn't want any of the energy of like seeing FBI with a former president there. They don't want that. Nobody's talking about that, right? So they pick a moment when they're, so that means this has been premeditated for a while.
Of course.
Like the way that I'm seeing it, especially with the astrology, right? And then I was thinking about this Venus opposite Pluto the last moment, and Trump has Venus in Cancer, you know, with Saturn there at that 25, 23 degree spot. And this Pluto is the last time opposing it. And if you could see, it's kind of helping me see what's going to happen to me with Pluto oppositions to all my Leo stuff, being a Leo rising and him being a Leo rising. But he has all those Cancer placements. I'm not scared, but it's one of those things where when you start talking the truth or you start going against the norms right now, it was a huge signal to the world, or anybody in America especially, like, we're coming for you whether you like it or not. On the same day that in the Senate they pass a bill where they're going to put more IRS agents than FBI agents than any department in ever.
I can't even believe that. Like, that's where they're going to spend their money, is to just fuck people over.
Yeah, you think they're going after the 1%?
Yeah, they just want to hope you've been keeping track of your Venmo account. It's pretty ridiculous stuff. I can't really believe, I mean, I shouldn't even say that anymore. I can't believe, like, that's almost like the dumbest phrase to say at this day and age. Like, with the way things are, like, I can't believe that happened. Like, come on, like, every time you didn't believe something, it happened. It definitely pre-orchestrated, right? Like,
yeah,
there's no way that it was just something that Biden woke up and was like, you know what, go raid Trump's house. Like, it's all pre-orchestrated, and it's all for like this, it feels like Civil War energy, right?
I mean, that's the times that we're in with this Neptune Jupiter conjunction in Pisces this year, and it's not over, you know. Jupiter retrograde still has to come back into Pisces, and it's going to get worse. Like,
yeah, I've
been putting up the warning flags for a long time. A lot of people don't want to see it though. Or like today, in this kind of, you know, you can vouch for me on this. I have Sprite on Amazon on like reorder for, I don't know, 2 years, right? Like where it always shows up. The expiration date is June 13th, 2022. Just got these in. And I said, oh, we'll just start getting used to like seeing an expiration date. Oh, it's only a month off or whatever, and I'll still drink it. I'll still eat it. Mm-hmm. It's all happening.
It's happening quick too.
And it's happening quick. And I know that we're going to talk about some like really cool subjects and relationships and a lot of, you know, the masculine. But I think from a masculine version, even like, and understanding the astrology and what's just happened, because this is a pretty shocking fucking situation. I woke up and all my text messages was like, did you just see fucking Trump? Da, 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 da. And I didn't even read the news yet. Right? It was just like, whoa, a lot of people hit me up about this.
Yeah, I had a couple people shoot me some info on that too, but I'm not super attached to it personally. Like, I kind of care, like I kind of look into it, but to me it's just that world stage drama that's just going to continue to pick up. I'm more interested in like what's actually kind of showing up in my day-to-day life, because that stuff out there is just going to keep going. I think we all can see like, oh, this is going to happen. I mean, how much effort and energy do I want to put into my day caring about it? It's kind of where I'm at this point.
So I have, with Eris at 24 degrees of Aries and with Pluto coming into Aquarius, that's when we deal with invasions of other people into countries and lands.
That's some shit I'll deal with when it happens.
So like, but that's what I'm saying is like, if you look at what's been going on, and even though I agree to focus on our own selves, but as a mundane astrologer, I'm very like, you have to see what even is going on in the matrix in the program when you're getting expired shit delivered to you.
Right.
And they've been warning about food shortages, or at the same time, you do have the crazy banana republic stuff that you see in Venezuela and in all these countries where they went very progressive and liberal, and this is what they do. That it is something I think it's important as a masculine, like out in the woods, like sure, like in the environment, the bears not and the wolves might not be here, but in the background, when you hear them howling, you still prepare in some sort of way.
Right.
Because I think you're right. I think the best way to be is to be not so over, like there's people who are way too obsessed.
It's not that I'm completely blind to it. I see, I hear, but as far as like the fine detail of the event, that's where I don't have the capacity to go into that stage right now. But I mean, I hear it and I see it, and it's in the back of way back of my mind. Like, okay, this is happening, but I'm not putting a whole lot of focus onto it right now. And this has been like something that's happened over the last 2 months for me. I used to be way more, I want to know, especially like you said, like doing mundane astrology.
Right.
And for some reason, there was a disconnect that's happened recently for me, where it's just like, how much of it's like a fucking rinse and repeat with different players or different scenarios, but it's just like, oh, here's another 2 weeks. Here's your crazy political story. Here's this person going after this person. It's like, yep, same game, different people, different. I already know it's happening.
Yeah, and I feel that disconnect even more so over the last couple of months, but I also think that it was finally this story that made me go, the wolves are closer now.
Yeah, I could see, because you vibe with Trump and have that same rising, and
Well, and I think it's more the environmental understanding of Pluto, not only the return for America, but at the same time, and we live in America, so it is one of those things where it's like, the fucking shit's coming up whether we like it or not.
Yep.
Right? So the sewage is coming up and bubbling up on top, whether we like it or not. And at the same time, looking at the transit of Eris, which is a very long cycle. I was when Christopher Columbus just showed up and was horrible to the indigenous people then, and even wrote about it. And then when you really think about, so it's like this new energy that comes into
claim
jumpers with the Neptune Pisces, right? And then you also get to this moment now with Pluto coming into Aquarius, where it starts to really, especially even financially, we're seeing that right now. And then now we're starting to see, the demonization of a president, where you have the president who's up there that is the lowest approval rating and the most ever recorded history of the collective of Americans who are not happy with the way the country's going, not happy with inflation, not happy with, are we going to be able to survive? Looking at, like, even to get loans or credit cards or anything, the interest rates are going up because of the inflation, and then they're just going to spend on this crazy stuff that's going to just be looking at all of our taxes more. So it is one of those things where it is affecting all of us. And I think as a masculine, even though in the spiritual community, I think we have to be like, this is the matrix, right? But even in the matrix, when you're out of it, you have to pay attention. Those sentinels are coming all the time.
Absolutely. You got to have that awareness.
So I just think,
what if he's doing this, Biden, just to get his trying like a last ditch effort to get approval ratings up, because maybe some Democrats jump ship on him and they keep slipping, and he's like, well, I know these people still hate Trump, so maybe if I stab a knife at Trump real quick, maybe I'll get some recognition back in my corner.
They already played that the last 2 weeks with, even though he had the fucking coof twice
in a row,
and he was disappeared for so long. The fact that Manchin switched and joined, and even Kristen Sinema joined on this bill, which is even says in the legislature for this, Inflation fucking Reduction Act, that it's a reformed Build Back Better.
Straight up.
That's what it says. That you have all the press and all the, people saying out there, oh, well, fucking maybe President Biden isn't so sleepy Joe at all, and he's probably a good president. So technically, if he wouldn't have done this today, he would have, I think, not paid attention to even people who might be left or Democrats or whatever, to be like, whoa, this is pretty gnar.
That's another good reason. They probably did this just because it's going to make a big stir. People are going to trip. People are going to get all invested in it, and they're not going to be paying attention to that bill that's, it's in the Senate now, right? Passed the House.
It passed the Senate this weekend, which they did all night. They stayed up all night during the weekend while people were on their weekend and passed it this weekend. And then Vice President Kamala Harris did her crazy cackle when she was the fucking breaking the tie of the vote, but she is the president of the Senate, and fucking cackled like,
See, that's more important to me than Trump's shit getting raided, right? Like,
well, I think the Trump getting raided thing is a constitutional fucking break, right? Especially when it comes to things that are dealing with the president and the executive branch, a former executive branch. You go through the Senate to do that. You go through, that's the trial for executive stuff. The January 6th, this makes the January 6th trial even more discreditable for the fact that it's in the House, right? And then it's a special committee, but we don't get to hear about Nancy Pelosi's stuff. And Nancy Pelosi goes and flies, and now we're in the biggest tensions ever. And today we're sending troops over to India, where the China-India scuffle was with the eclipses of last year, where they've been fighting. We're sending troops over there. So it's like, not only are they starting wars, but they're at the same time doing crazy stuff, like you said, in the Senate with this crazy bill that's going to go to the House. And if it passes, have the craziest IRS, and then all this money and subsidy stuff go to, like, who could even afford to fucking put solar on their house to get a tax credit? Right. Like, people don't realize, like, that crazy stuff. The 15% tax on, like, big corporations over $1 billion. We don't really know the specifics of how that's going to look, right? Like, they could say, like, well, you have the potential to make fucking that much,
right?
But who knows, right? Like, that's, again, going to be, I think, C corporations, they have not put, they're not showing us everything yet. That's the scary part. But I think the scariest is we've been seeing all of our legal, constitutional Bill of Rights being trampled on, and even just constitutional crisis point where, this is crazy, just, invading somebody's home and taking their stuff.
I mean, it's
or they showed this weekend pictures of what was said in January 6th committee. One of his aides saying that he flushed, some notes of his down the toilet, and then they revealed the pictures this weekend, right? It's like anybody could do that in the Biden White House right now and go to the same toilet and fucking see what his writing is and just do that. And then do this. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, that's all manipulation and all, like, planning.
Right. South Node, Scorpio, Pluto, and Capricorn.
And the bigger plans are fucking, they're going to fail. But it's one of those things to where we have to, I think, be very cautious right now and understanding what's going on and not be afraid. But at the same time, really see that it's pretty clear to see what side's doing the fucking dirty work.
It's definitely clear. And I think it's very clear to see that there's a lot of funny business going on in that whole area of life. It's good to know. I just don't get too wrapped up in it. I see it, like you said, that was a good analogy. Like, hear the wolves howling in the background in the forest. I hear, but they're pretty far away from where I'm at.
I mean, really, are they?
Yes.
I mean, you're on this show with me that's public.
That's all right.
That's what I'm trying to say is, like, look at Trump.
Yeah. Hey,
everybody that was around him, they go to them first. They go to them first. They don't go to the main player first. They go around.
They can only find me here.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, think about that.
Yeah, I'm not tripping, but for sure.
Right? Like, Or even like think of all the people with crypto right now, right? And the tax laws that they're putting out for crypto, and all these IRS agents and all the people. And are they paying their fucking capital gains tax?
Not many that I've talked to.
So what do you think, especially since you've been in crypto and made crypto, that affects you?
Yeah. Hey. Don't feel like worrying about it. Plus, of course I paid my taxes. So.
Well, and I think there's a good way to talk about breakups, right? Like the breakup happening between presidents in a weird collective way, like and party and all this crazy stuff.
Yeah, that's a toxic relationship right there.
It is, and it's one where I think it's hard. I think because I think from the masculine point of view and breakups, or divorce, since we've both been through divorce, it's like, for I think the feminine out there, if you never want to think about that, right? You never want to go down to that road of breakup or divorce, but it does happen. But it's about, are you choosing a masculine that you know will be there and treat you the right way and do the right thing? Or are you entering in and you're like, I don't know, this person probably wouldn't take care, especially if you get married. I think that's a big one, right? And you go through a divorce, like, is the guy gonna fucking pay the stuff that he's gonna need to pay? Is he gonna,
or if woman gets pregnant,
correct,
is the guy gonna step up and handle his part of being a father, whether married or not? All those things.
Right. And I think that this is a moment for a lot of people right now where there's this is a year of massive breakups and get-togethers. Like, no doubt. With all this Uranus energy and with this full moon in Aquarius this week, and North Node Uranus and fucking Jupiter Saturn that was in Aquarius, and fucking, I mean, it's all about looping in and out people and situations.
People carousel.
It is a people carousel, and I think it's important for people, and I think even masculine too, right? Like, masculine, I think, pays a little bit more attention. Like, are they going to go crazy on me and fucking try and gut me for everything, right? Like, that's our like weird thing. Whereas like the other side might be like, like, are they going to be able to like take care of me? Are they going to like just throw me out of the house? Or are they going to just, right? And I think for both sides, it's about really finding good people that wouldn't do that. And I think to find the signs of that, sure, you can look at astrology if you want, but I think it goes into a just deeper knowing of like, how has this person really dealt with those things in the past? And do they have do they have like at least some sort of track record where I could see like, oh, the ex isn't fucking, got a restraining order on them. The ex doesn't have a da-da-da-da-da. I mean, or if, like I was divorced, like, like I fucking was like, here's a brand new car. Here's a new place. Till the divorce happens, during the separation, here's everything you need. Da-da-da-da. Like, like that's a true masculine that even if shit don't work out, fucking isn't going to fucking barrage you and throw you out to the wind. And I think a lot of feminine are afraid of that.
Yeah, I agree. I think, you definitely want to try to find people that you can at least get a good judge of their character and know, if things don't work out, at least I'm not going to get just a knife completely through my heart. Like, sure, there's heartbreak involved, but you're not just going to get, like you said, thrown out into the cold.
Thrown in a motel, just like left to die, So I think that you have to really look at someone's character. I don't even know if you can fully see that in astrology. I think it comes down to like some deeper shit of like evolutionary stages. Because I mean, I feel like any chart could display itself in a very positive way over time, because it went through lessons, it evolved, that person learned. So I don't even know if you could see like, oh, is this person just going to completely disregard my existence afterwards or not? In astrology, do you think you can? Yeah. I think of course, looking at people's Venus aspects, right, is going to be the place to look at, especially whether it's conjunctions or whether it's squares. And I think a lot, or oppositions, right? But I think like Venus Saturn is one where it's like I have the square. So it's like, if I was if somebody has Venus square Saturn and they're not doing work, that means they're not going to be able to ever show up. Whereas like I have Venus square Saturn, so it's like I work my ass off to get what I get. So it's like, of course, fucking if a breakup happened, like, and it did. When I got divorced, it was literally like, it wasn't, I just bought an apartment. I paid for the apartment all the way until we got to fucking the mediation, and then worked all that shit out, and a brand new car, and paid for it the whole time while I was paying for my new own place and paying for all my cars and paying for the studio and the employees and everything else.
Yeah, usually when I see Venus square Saturn, it's usually people that get in very few relationships.
Correct.
And they're usually long term when they do get into them.
Yeah.
But you have Venus also trine Uranus, so.
Yeah, but that means I'm in harmony with understanding the wild and the eccentric,
Right.
but I'm not gonna unharmoniously do something crazy. Like a Venus square Uranus person,
Yeah.
you don't
That's
know
insane.
where the fuck what they're gonna do next. Or Venus square Pluto. But the positive of Venus square Pluto is if they know how to be transparent and they know how to be open, or are they always closed, you know? Or Venus, I have Venus square Mars within like 7 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, yeah, I like to go into relationships fast. I don't like to take my time.
Right.
Right? Because I already have Venus square Saturn. So it's like, oh shit, you're the one. Oh fuck, you don't even know. I have to go through years and years and years and years and years of fucking till I find somebody that's at the level that I want.
Yeah, like any big committed relationship, those are few and far between. That's very Venus.
But with Venus square Mars also is very, you know, like I go after things fast, but that also means in work I'm very intense, or in passion and the things that I value I'm very intense. But so that means I'm an intense person. So it's like, can you deal with an intense person? But that doesn't mean that.
Doesn't mean you're gonna get, throw someone out in the cold.
Correct.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's interesting.
Like you have Venus in Aquarius. We talked about that last week.
Yeah, it's not making any hard aspects though. It's sextile my Mars, so it's kind of just. It quincunxes my Jupiter in Cancer, but that's it. Like my Venus is pretty chill there.
Yeah, and your Jupiter's exalted in Cancer.
Right. So it kind of works out well. It's just like communication for me, like just being able to express how I'm feeling. And for me, it's always been about getting out, like when I need to, because I will hold on to relationships for a long time. So it's like I've learned at this point in my life, after a couple months, if I'm dating and trying to figure it out, if it's not like the full connection all in that I'm looking for in a relationship, or I'm not seeing a future, like once I don't see the future anymore, then I gotta get out, and that's the hard. That's the
like
hard
the movie
part.
Get Out.
Get out, but I always get out like, and my Venus is in the 11th, and it's in Aquarius, right? So it's kind of, I'd shoot to always be friends, and to like stay, cordial. Like if a relationship ends, it's never like I hate you. It's like I don't see this going anywhere anymore. Or I'm going over here, you're going over there, and like that was my last divorce. It was just like I was taking the spiritual route in life and just full on going that way, and she wasn't going that way, and we just had to come together and be like, it's not working out. And we had a kid together, so it was like, can we co-parent and like be homies? Yes, and we do a great job of that.
Yeah. No, I know. I know from being your friend now for a long time that I'm like, I've never even heard any negative energy from you two or about her or anything.
No, she's great. Yeah,
that's one thing I'm
lucky.
Say like, yeah, I've never even heard about drama.
It was a crazy thing, right? Because that was another breakup or a divorce in my life that it wasn't because we hated each other. Like, so that's the crazy part that happens too, where some people break up when they hate the other person, or they get a divorce when they've already, I can't stand this person. Like there was resentment building up, and like we weren't seeing eye to eye in life, but at least we got to a point where we could go our separate ways before it was just like an all out war. So I think that's something too, is like, can you at least be honest and open enough with people before it's just full resentment, full destruction, and a straight up war between two people? Because that, you can save a friendship, you can save some kind of relationship dynamic, or at least just respect of another person, and even respect of yourself, if you can get to that point before you just full on hate the person or resent them to a whole nother level. Because resentment's hard. Once resentment sinks in, like,
yeah, that's not an easy one. I've dealt with that as a shadow.
It's hard, that it's like little things add up, and then all of a sudden those little things become really big things, and that person could sneeze wrong, and it's like hate you. Shut up. Resentment's wild.
I never have had resentment in a relationship, more about after and the actions taken after.
Yeah,
and
that can happen too.
And that's, I think, where it becomes kind of weird, is like, there's not only the breakup and how it's dealt with, but then the aftermath of, like, you know, like you say, like being friends. Like, I'm friends with every ex of mine. Like, we're chill. I mean, it's not like I talk to them every day or every week or whatever, but when my dad died, they all fucking called, you know? But to have your ex-wife be so fucking like, I've erased you, and I don't even want the spiritual community to know that the gem goddess, the Leo king, like, you know what I mean? Like, and then I've never existed. And for me, that resentment was a hard shadow in 2020 for me to like go through, which kind of didn't allow me to even enter into partnerships for a while, because those shadows were hard.
Right.
When you're erased and you're the one who channeled for 8 hours straight fucking one night to be like, come on, it's been years. Like, I've made you studios. I've taught you everything that I know. And you're using my cards on the fucking first shit, and using the table that Deep Love Tarot was used for every week at her first videos, and completely fucking got her to do it, and she used my card to buy the corp, and acts like, no, I learned at 12.
Oh.
So that resentment was so hard, especially when my dad died, and like, I have a boyfriend, don't talk to me. Like, wow.
That's how some people have to cope when they get out of things.
When her dad's been dead for a long time, and my dad was like her dad and treated her like that, and just those kind of resentment things are fucking rough.
I've seen it happen a few times in my life, not with me personally, but with friends and different dynamics where people get their heart broken so bad, or like the relationship ends, and it's just there's just so much there, and there's either anger or a jealousy or a betrayal or just whatever it is that got, destroyed from before, that the only way they can move on is if they literally cut that person completely out of their life, because anytime it comes back in, it brings up what they don't want to feel.
I mean, this might sound crazy, but when I met you at Don't Trip last year, you were a huge healing element to all that resentment, because I found you through I was like searching for a video, and I put the Leo King in on YouTube, and your video popped up, and I watched it, and then I looked in your description, you went, I took the Leo King schools.
Right.
And then when I met you in person, I was just like, and now where we're at now, right? Like, you were part of the healing of my resentment, that if somebody I loved very deeply and did everything I could to get her to become what she is, and taught her the ropes and showed her the way and taught her how to do it and all that shit, and then acts like I never existed, and has erased everything completely, right? And wants the whole world to never know that I was part of any part, or even part of her life even. But to see that you actually were like, I've had a lot of people in the past who took my school, because I teach the exact way of even how to do an intro to, like, the astrology itself, like how to live and make your whole life doing.
Yeah, how to build a business doing it.
Yeah. And I've had a lot of people who, like, they take it all, and then they get that like egocentric, like, no, I don't ever want to know. Like, I came up with this or whatever.
Right.
Right.
On my YouTube to this day, I still have that same description on there. I never changed it. But I'm like proud to say I learned from you. It is one of those things.
Like for me, like that's me and Christopher
exactly.
Witecki.
I learned that from you too.
Right. Like
straight up.
Like the only way in this spiritual community it works is that it's not about what you found in yourself, like, and how special you are. It's like giving honor and respect to where you learned. I always quote whoever I'm saying from, or wherever I've learned from, or we even opened with Chris Brennan, right? Like, and when he said that was hilarious, right? It was like fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's like, but that's where I think it's like in relationships.
There's a lot of ego that goes into relationships.
But I think what it does is it brings us to a point to where we could actually use this example and go, hey, if somebody's like acting like this other person doesn't exist, right? It's like, that's a little funky. I don't trust that, because usually it's always throwing shade. What's your shade about going on that you're trying to hide and throw it all on the other person?
Yeah, I think that's a good question.
You know?
Because it's often, you know, relationships are such a good reflection of ourselves. Like I always look at Venus like a little handheld mirror, you know?
Like kind of like in Beauty and the Beast.
Exactly. Just like that. So it's like, yeah, on one end, you're getting the Taurus side where you are looking at yourself and if you're beautiful or not and having that self-confidence, that worth. But the relationship side too is that reflection that we get in partnerships and relationships to the people in our lives that is, it's a real mirror, right? Like and sometimes we don't like what we see in that mirror and we'll project it onto that person as like, oh, they're the bad one, you know? But what's up with maybe that inner stuff too, that there's something in you, in that person that you don't want to deal with. And, you know, there's that side, in my opinion, too.
Well, it's also, I think, kind of funny, right? We're on spiritual daddy, right? And like with feminine energy too, right? It's kind of like there is that psychological, you know, case that could be brought that like if feminines have daddy issues, right? Like that they'll like try to find somebody actually like their dad, or same thing with men, right? Like we try to find, if we have mom issues, somebody like our mothers, right?
Please no.
And so like that's where it kind of, I think, is another place for people. It's not so much, I think, looking at the other as much as looking within yourself. Like you're going to manifest, if you're going to end up on the street and pick that person, it's because like you actually want that in a weird way. And I had to look at the shadows of the resentments that I went through. Like maybe I fucking manifested that and the way that she did all that because of some of the shadow work I hadn't done, where maybe I always had issues of being seen. And oh boy, that was a big projector, and she is a projector to project that to me of like, oh, you're not going to be seen for real.
Right.
You know, so I have to like think of it as a gift instead of, that was like my healing was like partly seeing it, of course, from you, but of course, at the same time, it was myself realizing like, hey, it's not so much the person as much as whatever stuff that I am dealing with inside and whatever stuff, shadows that I haven't dealt with that sometimes don't come up on your radar till you get into a relationship, and then it ends.
Until it ends,
then
right.
That's what you have to deal with.
I had that thought when I turned off the fan in the back before we started because it's so hot in here. And I was walking back here, and that was like the thing that came up was like how breakups are actually such a great gift in our life because they make that reflection so clear. And if we choose to, we can acknowledge it and we can move on from it because it's very like, it's a graduation step in life.
Yeah.
Like I look at it like the relationship, it had its time, it had its course, learned a lot, had feelings, did all these different things. It could have been amazing at one time, and then it could have went to a bad place, or it could have been amazing most of the time. Whatever the circumstance was, it ended for whatever reason. It was meant to, time was up. And the ability to see and like just kind of look back on it and see where it went and see why it ended or how, and be able to put that back and like do that inner work and be able to let go.
Yeah.
Is so huge because we want to attach ourselves so badly to so many things. It's like, I mean, I get it. There's 4 fixed signs, 4 fixed archetypes in all of us, but there's something special about being able to move on and just detach from these heavy situations in life because they're inevitable. We all have to go through them, and we learn so much about the depth of what we're made of by moving on. And however we have to do that.
Spoken like a true Capricorn.
Is that?
Knowing how to move on easy.
Gotta go.
Gotta go, fucking, like, gotta get out, fucking.
Time's up.
Right? Whereas as a Leo, right, like, oh boy, that one's a hard one to let go.
You have way more fixed energy than I do.
I'm all fixed, yeah. So if I do put all of it in, I fucking put all of it in, and then when it's gone, I'm like,
it hurts.
And I'm not like a serial relationship person, so
right.
I'm not going to the Slurpee aisle and just every day going to get new flavors of Slurpee is a relationship all the time. Like I just like really take my time to find exactly what feels like the vibe for me that you know, and I think that kind of bridges into the sheep question. Like, I can't date a person who doesn't get it spiritually.
It's not
and
even worth the time.
like is at kindergarten levels of like, well, I'm into meditation or something. I'm just like, meh. It's so much more. I just channeled on High Vibe today about this, the real, not Lionsgate, but the real portal that's happened since this new moon and with North Node Uranus, Mars and all that. Like that, there's an old frequency out there that's running and there's a new frequency. And it's like, anybody not in the new frequency, I cannot, it's not worth it. I've spent the last 2 weekends just sitting in my house alone.
I had a very isolated past 2 weekends as well. Very minimal other people showing up in my life. But it kind of felt like it was necessary.
I think going forward, that's what it kind of is going to be. And I think the adjustment to this is difficult. Like, but at the same time, it's like I don't want to be in any old frequency. And I think even the programming around old, meaning like past or any, it's not even that. It's just anything that's not alien. Operating in the higher foreign. New frequency that's shown up, that is able to see through all this stuff, is able to hear the wolves and not let them come down and fucking take over the fucking camp, like, of the divine. Like, it's like, and I think that's, it's there's just no way. It's not even worth it for a single second.
I don't even know what I would talk about with that person. Like, maybe just, I don't know. Like,
you talk about maybe Pete Davidson.
Oh, Pete Davidson
breaking up with Kim Kardashian.
Wait, he broke up with Kim?
Well, I don't know. I think a Libra. Libras do get broken up with. Don't get me wrong, but no, Kim and her Libra chart, fucking, she dumped him. Just how she dumped Kanye too.
That, yeah, I mean, fuck, she broke up with Kanye. I mean, how quick after that breakup was Pete Davidson around?
I think he was an implant.
I think so too, because that dude like basically came out of nowhere. Like, I know he was around, but like, what? Like,
the fact that, like, I don't know, there was like media reports saying that fool was hung or something. Because I was like, I looked at his energy and I was just like, I don't even think that fool could fit his dick between her fucking enlarged ass.
Well, I think they were just saying that about him because what? How else? How else?
Oh, that's, you know? I mean, yeah, because I was thinking, like he's the how most attractive dude in the world. How is that fool gonna actually get between that huge ass? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how many times it's been operated on, but it's been operated on a lot. And fucking, I was like, I couldn't, like, I was trying to actually like think about that. I was like, there's just no, I don't, and even like the pictures of them making out like 2 months ago at some like thing, I'm like, wow, they're just at like a makeout moment, you know? Yeah. After all the time, like the, whatever, I think it was November they got together and they just broke up. So they went like 10 months or something, but it's like, it just fucking was crackalicious weird. Like, it was just it was like was she smoking crack?
I was asking you before the show, like, what's up with these like Hollywood or famous people relationships? Like, are they, like, I'm sure there's some real ones out there, but are the majority of these real, or are these like actually planned out kind of?
I mean, I would say that there's two versions of that. There's the very high-end Hollywood elite that are in the contracts with the studios, and are those studios and those even television networks, right? All are monopolies. So, you know, especially when it comes to like getting attention for those other brands and other businesses that they run, right? Then you have, so that stuff is, there's a lot of that's planned. I mean, even look at Tom Cruise, Nicole Kidman, they meet on Days of Thunder. She's taller than him, right? She's Australian. She gets in that movie. They become together. Then they do a movie, Eyes Wide Shut, Stanley Kubrick's last movie. And it exposes all the thing about the weird fucking dark occult, fucking like, not the good occult, the dark occult fucking like, underground fucking world of the elites and their sex fucking operations. And then Stanley Kubrick dies before it really gets released, and 30 minutes of the film gets taken out, and he was fighting for that, and he dies during the fight of the 30 minutes of that. And then that's when Nicole Kidman and Tom Cruise break up, right? Then he moves on to fucking, what was her name? when he jumps on the couch for Katie Holmes, right? And that whole weird thing where he's so in love and he's jumping on Ellen's couch. And what was that? To get Ellen into the game. Oh. Right? That was her new show. So you have to see on how well the planning is from a elite high-end status. Then you have let's just call it the verified, B-rated, YouTube, actresses, actors that are in TVs and films, but they're not the full leads that have been the big. They're only going to go after somebody else that they can get some clout from.
Right.
Like they could even, and usually they have their high school boyfriend or their high school girlfriend or their whatever that they say sorry, and then they are like, well, you're verified and you have this and you have that many people. Let's go do something. Like, let's go out. Let's go do this. Let's go. Right. And it's like, it becomes from what I've done, not only just as an astrologer and clients, I'll never reveal them, but also like just being in that world and being on TV, like it's crazy. That's how it is. It really is like you can only be dated if you're got some form of clout that they're looking for. And the other person's
Pete
looking for.
Davidson have the clout that Kim was looking for?
I think the weirdness is that you see the whole transition to their show reemerging as a new show, right? Because they got off E, you have to remember, right? Like in the whole idea of like, keeping up with the Kardashians. Now it's called the Kardashians, right? So they switched. You have to see that the show changed. Think of it also spiritually, like when the show or the slide is changing. Mm-hmm. So you see, whenever you see these celebrities and you see the show, the movie, something about them changing. Everything goes and everything new comes in. Oh, the illusion. Because it's a reality show that they do. So it's like they have to have a reality version. So even though to us it might look like it, she could be banging somebody else, and Pete's just like, hey, fucking okay, it's part of the reality show. It's in the
we're showing up at this place
together.
together.
It's in the fucking contract for the script.
Right.
I'll find it. I'll pull up my reality show contract one day for people and show you, like, we are allowed to make you look however the fuck we want. However the fuck we want. Yeah. We could say that you're gay and you're not gay. We can do whatever we want. We could say you fucking did something you didn't. We could, right? So these contracts could also say like, yeah, you're going to date this person right now.
Right. That's kind of what
right? And you have to remember the person behind the Kardashians is Ryan Seacrest. He is the producer. And when you look at that whole scenario and Seacrest Productions and all that and what all the shows that he's done and how he brought back to life Kiss FM and made it trendy and the musicians and it's all integrated in, right? And then you look at him, he has one of the most beautiful wives, and then she goes and turns lesbian after being with him.
It was in the contract.
I don't know about that. I mean, I know some stuff.
Well, long story short, those relationships don't show you shit. But it's interesting that happened. That was today, right?
I think it was yesterday or it was this weekend or something. But
so that's like the hot dating news out in the world right now.
Yeah. So to me, like when I read that, I'm like, that to me energetically never felt like love. Like even this, it's interesting looking at like Ben Affleck, right? Getting back with J-Lo. And they're both Leos, and then they get married quick. And then what happens? There's a picture of him like 3 weeks ago. I don't know if you saw it, where he's total Leo'd out. He's like on a boat and he's in a chair and he's passed out in the middle of the day. And somebody got pictures of him just like, it reminds me of him at the Jack in the Box smoking the cigarette in the car and fucking all freaking out when he was drunk and going to go to rehab in Malibu in 2019. Right. And how his like comeback tour and to get J-Lo and take her away from A-Rod, right? Who's like the big masculine. So everything that you're starting to see, right? It's like a Hunter Biden, right? Mm-hmm. Like he's very Hunter Biden-ish. But then look at even like, I hate to go back to it, but like the Trump thing. Why are they not going after Hunter Biden?
I know.
Right? But they're going to go after Trump, who, what? Because he said something? He said something. right?
Daddy's
he never
boy.
did do anything wrong. Like he actually never did. And he was impeached twice. And even the first president to be impeached while not being president, then why aren't you impeaching him right now?
I know. That's even
Instead
what I said at
of
the beginning
this.
too. It's like, how are you going to give this guy just that of all the things to worry about in the world right now, you're just going to keep going after this guy?
Right.
Unless Trump's actually trying to do something really, really crazy out there, which maybe, I don't know. I think it's so funny that was a good point about Hunty. But that's the boss's boy.
But what does this lead to? It leads to showing Pete Davidson, Ben Affleck, which I don't mind him, but compared to like A-Rod, who's got his shit together, he's a fucking baseball player, he's fucking masculine, he fucking, right? Fucking Hunter Biden. Fucking look at all the dudes that are being popped up as masculines. Joe Biden can't even get his, he's fallen off the stairs, fell off his bike. Now today's dropped his sunglasses and he can't even get his jacket on.
Oh no.
Like it was horrible. Like he came out of the fucking Marine One today, fucking out of the helicopter and fucking couldn't get his jacket on. And then the first lady's putting it on for him and then he fucking drops his sunglasses. Like it's so bad at the same time that Trump's getting raided. So like they're throwing up this demasculinized people. Like Pete Davidson is not a masculine. He's not energetically as a guy. It's like what guys were all like, what the fuck? Like who, what? She's going to really go for this fucking lame duck fucking like Hunter Biden is not masculine, right? Like that fool fucking jerks off fucking smoking crack, you know, with fucking dudes and chick hookers. Like fucking, you know what I mean? Like that's not fucking masculine. Like definitely, that fool, like I mean, that video of him, that video.
It's just favoring the toxic side of masculinity. It's like way on the toxic side of all the masculinity.
It's not even I mean, yeah, it's toxic masculinity, but it also is complete. Like that fool has no idea where the wolves are. That fool's protected by his family. He's making money. Right. That's proven in the laptop. When Matt Gaetz put it into the fucking congressional record, like they have it, and the FBI acts, we don't know where it is, right? But they got it, and they admit that they have it. They just don't know. Mm-hmm. And then we don't talk about ongoing investigations for years, and all of it is connected to China, and all of it is connected to Ukraine, and all that shit that's going on right now. So, but you see all the like he's not had to do anything. He's just fucking around with hookers all day and fucking smoking crack.
Best life.
I mean, I don't know. That would, to be honest, smoking crack is not a fuck, and meth, because the news is afraid to say meth. Like he has meth pipes.
Right. It's meth.
It's meth. So it's like, you know, like but he is smoking crack too.
Oh, I'm sure he smokes a lot of things.
But it's like, that's where it's just like so crazy how you see like we're living in a world now where they will not prop up any masculine energy. And that's where you actually kind of have to think about like how Trump, I know some people don't think he's masculine, but like he'll call shit out. And he'll be fucking tough militarily wise. He'll be tough on things.
Trump's alpha as fuck. I don't know.
He's very alpha. But I'm just saying that, like, you know, if you're going to come across now in the media as alpha,
demonized,
you're demonized, and you're definitely not going to be able to go out with Kim Kardashian.
I mean, did Pete Davidson come across as some super masculine dude to date Kim Kardashian? Like, does it even matter? Like, in that. Is that why they put Pete Davidson there? Is that what you're saying? Because yes,
all of the characters we're seeing as masculine are weak masculine. Like look at, I know I used to be 17's astrologer, like I used to do, right? So like look at this guy Cole Sprouse. Now you might not know him, but he's popular to all the younger generation and stuff. Like I looked at his chart, and he was at the time going out with Lily Reinhart, and they were like a couple, and he was a Leo and she was a Virgo, and they were like on a big show on Netflix. And like I instantly looked at his chart and I fucking was like, this fool's the weakest masculine ever. Now I don't know if I could tell if he's gay or not from a chart, but I was like, it looks like he's gay energetically. I don't even think he really likes girls, but he also could be just super beta, right? So I instantly said, I don't even think this relationship is going to make it another month. And they were like supposedly the best relationship. They literally broke up within a month of me saying it. And then 17 put out an article like, look at the Leo King was right. How did he call it out within a month? Now he's on all these podcasts. He's with this Camila girl now. Like it's like crazy. And it's like, this guy is weak as fuck. Okay, he's not like a man. He even looks like a chick. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're throwing up name me masculine energy that's liked. It's not in the mainstream media, right? Like, especially like if I post anything about Tucker Carlson calling shit out, people freak out. They don't like it.
Keanu Reeves masculine?
Yeah, because he stands up for women.
Right, and he hasn't gotten demonized yet.
Well, because he stands up for women, but he also hasn't got a lot of press. Let's be real.
True.
But he also doesn't like it.
Right.
Right? So he kind of stays in the shadows, right? But he's made his voice clear that he only wants to work with female directors. But that's the other thing is like, when you place yourself in a box, like, well, I'll only work with female directors and stuff like that. What, you're not going to work with any male directors?
Yeah, why not?
To make something good? So do you see how that could be even part of it too?
Yeah.
Right now, like, remember Duck Dynasty was a big thing and stuff like those guys, you don't hear about them. And I'm not saying they're masculine,
didn't something happen with those dudes? Like, wasn't there some kind of like, I don't know, scandal or something? Oh, they said something racist. That's what it was. They got canceled.
I didn't know that, but I just know that, well, again, canceling, right? Canceling the divine masculine energy anywhere. If you speak up, then, you know, there's a story made. I mean, if you look at this whole thing, because honestly, erase the political, but just look at the people. So just like for a second, erase politics, but we're going to look at the politicians. It's just people. Erase politics. You have Steve Bannon, who is very vocal, War Room. You have Alex Jones, very vocal, InfoWars. You have Roger Stone, very vocal, has a fucking Nixon tattoo on him on the back of his back, right? Like, just speaking about fucking whatever their truth is a free patriot American that you're allowed to be. You have Trump, who goes on and says, hey, there's weird fucking shenanigans, and people have to realize Trump's the voice of the country and for the Republican Party at the time on January 6th. And there's senators and Republicans in the House that come together for January 6th to question the Electoral Count, which is in the Constitution under the Electoral Count Act. So it was not a crazy thing to do. That's what he was rallying for.
Right.
Right? Rallying for a constitutional right that I hope they have the balls in there to do it. Right? Boom. Now let's attack. Boom. Boom. Steve Bannon. Fucking boom. Fucking Alex Jones now in the last week. Boom. Erase the politics though and just look at the people and how they are. They speak truth. They speak truth. Yeah. They might be wrong on sometimes, like Alex Jones's thing with Sandy Hook, right? But like, even if you watch that court case, like, they fucking only showed the families the whole time a 1-minute clip of it, not showing the other parts of the clip that he was trying to show. And actually, it's crazy. Some of those families came and said sorry to him because that the lawyers and the fucking people over the last fucking 4 or 5 years about this have never shown them that he was like, you know, I'm sorry, or I also don't know, like, you know, but like, it's questionable, right?
He's been apologizing for that for a long time. But like, you know, and especially they already canceled him. He made his own network and they want to shut that down. So it's like, you know, like, you have to erase the politics for a second. It's just like looking at the people. Now, who's not speaking truth is on both sides, right? Like, look at Liz Cheney. She has Dick Cheney, her father, doing an ad right now that the left and let's not get political, but Dick Cheney was the biggest liar about 9/11, about fucking the wars in Iraq, and he's the guy who orchestrated it all. And now he's telling everybody, and now people are listening to Dick Cheney. Like, weird. That's how you know it's getting fucking weird. Yeah. There's just too much weirdness going on in that whole realm. I think regardless of politics and party, you just have to kind of see it, observe it, get your fix so that you know what, at least where you stand and what resonates with your truth, and then get out and build your life. right?
Yeah, but I mean, you take the Epstein case, which Alex Jones called out in court.
Dude, I still don't even know if Epstein is a real person. I'm not sure. I'm personally 100% not sure if he's a real person.
Oh no, he's real. He was connected.
Dude, you're the one.
He was connected.
You showed all the CG about like, is this person real or not? Like, is this person real?
No, yeah, because he goes back far before all that shit.
I've seen some other stuff come out too. I'm a little like, I don't know. And the whole Ghislaine Maxwell and her whole court case, like, does she even exist? Do those two people exist is my question.
The reason why you're feeling that way is because they are not doing anything public about it. They're not releasing the names on the list. We already know Bill Clinton was on that fucking...
Everybody was on that list.
Loretta Express fucking a million times, right?
Yeah.
But you have to realize... whatever that list is I guarantee you, all the weak woke. Look at Jimmy Fallon. He is not masculine.
Nope.
At all. Like Johnny Carson, masculine. Even fucking Jay Leno, who fucking has a car collection and everything, masculine. Like even Conan, they like canceled Conan. It's like they put up the most weak ass beta males, and I bet you they're all on the list. Because a beta male is going to go take flights to an island to go fuck weird fucking young girls and shit like that because they can't find women themselves.
I mean, all those dudes have money. I'm sure they can find something, but
yeah, correct.
There's a weird kink to it. You know, there's something weird built in there that just buying it or having money and attracting certain things wasn't enough. Got to go to the next weird thing.
Or like you're throwing up Bill Gates during this whole pandemic as like the hero at the beginning, right? With his sweaters on.
I know. His
pink sweaters and his like, looks like he's transitioning with like tits. Dude. Right? And then like,
he looks like
then his wife coming out, who that's a big question if she's, you know, who knows what the fuck's up with her. But anyway, her coming out and saying, no, like I'm divorcing him because of fucking Epstein. Right? And then everything at the New Mexico fucking house about Gene and how he wanted to, and he paid for all the Harvard fucking scientists who happened to be the people all behind Pfizer, Moderna, and all these fucking mRNA shots and fucking, and talking about fucking with people's genes, and fucking Bill Gates went to those meetings and that was all done at the fucking New Mexico house. And that's all LA Times, New York Times in 2019. And people are still not wanting to fucking admit, so it's like you can see how they don't want any of that energy out at all. At all. Even if you look at fucking TikTok guys, if it's like almost like the algorithm's like, because it's got facial recognition, it's got everything. It's like they probably have a fucking algorithm that knows if you're an alpha male. And if you're a beta male or you're gay or anything like that, they throw you to the top.
Wouldn't be surprised. That's a heavy hitter in the algorithms these days because you're pushing what they want. But there's a lot of true stuff that gets out there and goes around too, you know? So that's kind of the war right now, right? Is the war on truth.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you think about it, right, it's like which this is something I said in Age of Deception. I made a reel about it. I said this in 2018 in Chicago when I was at the Chicago talk, is I said that we would be seeing during this time the energy of the Renaissance, like the Saturn-Pluto conjunction that was in 1517, 1518, that was bridging this whole underground Illuminati occult, like having to kind of hide and get the truth out in weird ways, like we saw through that period where there was a battle between the religious institutions and then the new science institution that was trying to like separate instead of bring together, like true alchemists. So even like before that Saturn-Pluto conjunction, you saw somebody like Leonardo da Vinci who was doing like the Last Supper and was showing like, okay, yeah, I'm talking about Jesus, but I'm really trying to show you all 12 disciples are the fucking zodiac signs and splitting them up in the seasons and doing the exact fucking look of each sign and fucking trying to wake people up through so many different ways, but like doing it in the church, like because he's getting paid through it. Or even Botticelli, right? Doing the same thing, like putting up all these fucking beautiful paintings, but really there's all these secret hidden messages to it. You see that through, we're in the same transit as that. And right now, it's the same thing, religion and fucking science. And now science isn't even science, right? It's like this crazy woke science. And then there's this crazy religious movement going on.
Well, science is the religion now because it's not based on actually doing the science. It's based on the belief that it's happening and that believe this and this is the righteous thing and do this and that's it, because that's kind of religion too. It's like you pick a religion like this is the way. So science is doing the same thing.
Yeah, but you have you have Galileo though at the same time who says that the planets revolve around the sun,
right,
and gets thrown in jail for the last decade of his life.
And then they all decided, yeah, he's right.
Exactly.
Whether he's right or not, I don't know, but
I mean, it's easy for me to use a fucking heliocentric.
It works.
It works.
It works.
The flat Earth community still cannot to this day fully describe the way that the helio model actually works with the retrogrades, with the understanding of all those things, like eclipses, like they don't have it. No matter how much they try to fucking do, they don't have it.
Yeah, that's why I could never die on either hill, really, like flat Earth or.
I agree.
I just can't like pick a solid. This is the way, because I can see a bunch of sides from both, and it makes sense. And it's like till I go up there and see, I'm not even willing to. Doesn't matter. This is the plane of existence I live on. But the helio model, when you look at the planets and all the things and the transits and that math, it is.
Or even the understanding of declination.
Right, and the ecliptic.
They don't have that one figured out, right?
Well, they kind of do. Like the same way the sun traverses the ecliptic from Cancer to Capricorn, and how it goes around, and basically like Capricorn's way out on the far where like Antarctica would be. It goes out, that way and hits over Australia. So that's why they get, summer, and same with,
I know, but I'm talking about declination, though.
But that's the same thing, that is the declination, because when it goes out to the south, that's Capricorn, and when it goes into the center over the top,
but the declinations go farther in helio than a 23 degree.
They go it's 360. Everything's 360.
I get it, but when you get to Pluto at 20, when it enters Capricorn, it's at 26 declination.
Right,
it's out of bounds. Means that they don't cover any of that.
It's the same thing, in my opinion. Like, it's just going. I don't think they're worried too much about the degrees like astrologers would be or astronomers would be. But it's still, because 20, that line that they would put for the Tropic of Capricorn being on the outside, that would be the 24 south. So planets
but not the 26.
The stars could wander past that. It's not like that's just going to keep them in. They can still go out of bounds.
Yeah, but if you notice, any of those flat Earth astrologers don't talk about declination.
No, they don't. Well,
and that makes no sense.
Astrologers that do.
There
are, but you don't see it in.
I know that Michael Luton does. I know I do. I know.
Oh, I know that there are some. I guess the meme astrology or Instagram astrology, nobody's talking about declination. Maybe they'll mention an out of bounds moon. Maybe.
I've never. Yeah, I don't see it a lot.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. I know that
I think that's where like the establishment of astrology comes into play in a good way. Is like, at least they've learned these things and they know these things, and they'll mention those things. It might be over some people's head, but I think that's where we're in kind of a weird thing now. And I can understand from both sides, right? Where there's the establishment, and that goes like how the politics are right now, right? Like we kind of need to break away from establishment, but we need something established. Astrology needs some establishment of like, when a planet is out of bounds in somebody's chart.
Yeah.
It's fucking out of bounds.
Gemini Cancer moon or a Sagittarius Capricorn moon.
Especially if it's in those spots, because there's parts in those signs where they're not out of bounds, right? Yeah. They're coming out of bounds or they're going out of bounds, you know, or they're out of bounds, right? So, but I feel like that's where we're in a weird world, and especially like, it's like the dating sheep thing.
Mm-hmm.
To me, they're always in bounds. They don't even understand how to go out of bounds. And I think that the fact that planets do go out of bounds is the rebellion away. The same way that Chiron goes out of the orbit. So that's, again, if you don't use the helio model, then you'll never understand Chiron. Because Chiron is the asteroid that, of course, goes around fucking Saturn and Uranus's fucking transits.
It's very true.
And it's the only one that has a little moment that breaks Uranus's orbit and then comes back in. So humanity does get one little moment where it breaks free fully, and it's Chiron, and that's the wound that we only get our moment of transcendence after being fucked over and lied to and only able to see this physical reality, but know there's another fucking higher side of Uranus, and we can see past even that for a little moment. And that's what's going to come in Leo in the 2040s. But until then, you know.
Yeah, I completely agree. That's such a great point. I even look at Chiron as like very like Virgo energy, which is very reality. So it's like, yeah, reality has to go to that out of bounds place to liberate and be able to, you know, we always come back in, but we have to break out too, all the way out of Saturn's.
Well, it's technically Chiron would be, because it is a centaur.
You could give it Sag.
It's Sag, and they say that it's a detriment in Gemini.
Christopher Witecki would always bring up how he thought it was Virgo.
Yeah, because it goes to his 11.
Yeah, exactly.
Where I love him and everything. I just don't. There's 9 numbers to me, and then there's 0, and 0 is 0, and there, you know, there's 1 through 9. And people get too obsessed, I think, over 10 or 11, or you know what I mean? It's like master numbers and
right.
It's like, we don't have 11 fucking bodies yet.
Right.
It's like what Dylan and I were talking about. Like, this new thing will bring us to an 11th fucking, you know.
But even if you think about it too, like just the wounded healer, like that just feels very Virgo to me. Like, yeah, I know Sagittarius is the centaur, but there's something about Virgo that's the healing, you know. There's that healer quality built into Virgo. And then there's also a guilt, and that can be built into Virgo and even earth signs in general. So it's almost like, I look at it, how it makes sense there too, where it's like, oh, you have to deal with some of these, you know, it's always that one thing that people look at too particular in their self that they have to come to terms with and love themselves, and then they can heal themselves and use that to help heal others.
I mean, yeah, I agree to that, but I feel like it's the square point that, and also Chiron's healer energy is so weird because Chiron's healing energy comes through after it all. He becomes the guide once he's fucking given himself up to Zeus to allow Prometheus to live.
He was a teacher before that, wasn't he?
That's the only way to bring him back to becoming immortal. Is death through his mortal being after receiving the fucking poison of the Hydra.
But he was also a philosopher too, so it makes sense.
Right, but it's like that. But that's where it's after he literally gives up his own life to keep Prometheus alive.
That is so Virgo to me. Like,
no, Virgo is the last person.
Like, that is like completely out of ego and selfless. I'm gonna give to.
No, Pisces would do it. That's Pisces. I'm gonna transcend to God.
Again, square point.
Right, square point. Right, that like Virgo won't change their diet, let alone fucking, you know, tell them like you're gonna eat this hamburger right now in order to fucking heal the world. Like, fuck you, no.
No, fuck if I am.
Or you're gonna have to love this fucking person that you don't want to love. Like, nope. Right? You know what I mean? So that's why I don't see Virgo and Chiron at all even close to each other. They're like,
yeah, that's fine.
You know, especially as a centaur, you know, like half man, half horse, and an archer that understands, like, and a warrior, right?
And a teacher.
And a philosopher. Yeah. Like, so Sag, and if you think of that, Zeus gives the ability, Jupiter gives the ability for Chiron to actually transcend and become the healer after going through all the shit, right? that it's like it takes another centaur energy to kind of become, and it makes him the leader of the centaurs. He becomes the ruler of the centaurs, and
Right.
so I don't know. I think that's where, that's what's hard.
It doesn't really matter.
I think it matters though.
I mean,
I'm a very big Chiron's like the
well,
center
it's
of
like
my
got the
work.
square point, right? But so does Jupiter and Sag and Pisces. Jupiter has rulership in Pisces too. It squares over. So I don't know if like we can really use that as the end all be all. But I don't know. There's something about the healing quality of Chiron and getting over wounds and like getting out of self-guilt and doubt or not thinking that things are good enough that to me just feels Virgo. But I see what you're saying. And if I was going to give, it would be between the two. And it would be either exaltation Virgo or rulership Virgo, exaltation Sagittarius. So I'm like on the same team anyways. I just think it has some Virgo in it.
And I can agree, or I can see it too, because Virgos rule like the actual doctors, nurses,
Right.
and so forth. And it's the tools that they use, right? The surgeons, and all that. But it's like Chiron's healing is done through guiding other gods of how to not go into situations that they are going to go through pain, right? And so if you take the Buddhism understanding that we are in a life of suffering and that it's about taking your fucking moments where there's no suffering as in the bliss that you find in those moments, and then you take Chiron and understanding that it's through his suffering he teaches how to why are you going to keep doing what makes you suffer? Like his guidance is his healing. It's not physical like healing. He doesn't get healed.
Sagittarius
He has to die.
doesn't really have suffering energy though. Where I think Virgo has more suffering energy to it than
Right, but
Sagittarius.
that's the whole part, is the Chiron we understand is the Chiron that gets out of the suffering through the transcendence through death.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That Jupiter's the only one that is the benefic that can actually be like, well, I can't heal you, but I can heal you to bring you back to immortality, since the Hydra can never get out of your system.
Yeah.
Remember that.
So to not live in excruciating pain,
I mean,
die.
Well, yeah, but it was also to
But he
keep
gave
Prometheus
Prometheus,
alive
yeah.
too, right? So it's a sacrifice. What do you do in churches? You sacrifice,
Right.
right? Right? Like Jesus sacrificed for you to live. That idea of you're going to take the fucking cracker, you're going to drink the wine of the blood of Christ. It's all Sag,
Very.
right?
Yeah.
So it's Zeus that always comes in and goes, okay, you're going to be, in many ways, Chiron has a Christ-like kind of weird quality,
Right.
where he sacrificed himself for the greater good of the gods,
Yeah.
right? And
That's a
so
point.
it's within ourselves of like, I don't think it's so much of a sacrifice, but it's much more of like a
belief
if
and
actually, if you
faith.
want to look at anything, I think what we're coming to an interesting way to look at relationships is stop looking at maybe all these other places, but look at somebody's Chiron,
Oh, big time.
right? Like for me, like I talked about my shadow and how mine's in the 10,000 Gemini. So if I feel like somebody's going to fucking act like I was never around publicly and fucking that triggers my Chiron shit. Right?
Yeah, no doubt.
That's deep.
Mine's a 4th house Cancer. It's all
So-
internal and family stuff for me. Everything.
Or not providing a safe place or not providing a emotional
else. It's not feeling emotionally safe in my own body. In the grand scheme of things, I think it can manifest out to like family or different things of not being taken care of very well,
right.
or having a weird upbringing. But really, it was like you take care of yourself, like you hold your self together, and like there was healing in that without putting it, I feel like shit because this parent or this relationship or this. It was like, no, just figure out what's going on inside you and you'll heal your own, you'll heal all the other stuff. For me, that was kind of how that worked.
But in relationships, how does that affect you the most besides just feeling not safe in your body? Because there's a lot of Chiron cancers that I think are watching this. So you're,
Yeah, right, in my
90s, right?
generation.
Yeah, late 80s, early, like mainly 90s, but yeah.
Being able to, I think, express emotion or have, emotional depth, because, Cancer is that emotional quality. So, we got to get on the same tier of like realizing too, I think that everybody has wounds you can't see. I think that's very Cancer too. Not everybody sees what's going on with your moon or Cancer in somebody's chart. So like everybody's got something that's going on inside. And I think it's being able to understand that it's, there's some trauma in there somewhere. So you want to have conversations and maybe figure out what that might be and see like, oh, there's a deeper, emotional trigger here than what I thought. And can I handle that trigger? And if not, then maybe make a call if the relationship will work or not, or, be there to nurture and kind of uplift people about how they're feeling. And like, oh, it's okay to feel that way. It's, it's safe to feel around me. It's safe to be emotional around me. I think that's very Chiron in Cancer. What do you think?
Well, it makes me think because, and this is actually interesting because next to the post that Chris Brennan made today was a post that he made 7 years ago saying sun sign astrology is like marijuana in astrology.
Oh, yeah, they all hate it.
Whereas like I call it solar astrology, right? So me, when I'm thinking about your Chiron in the 4th natally, right?
7th.
And then I'm like, solar, because this is where I think I don't agree with the statement of Chris Brennan that it's marijuana. Like, if anything, it's the central understanding of really to go into deep evolutionary astrology of many levels.
Yeah, when you mix the solar,
with the natal, you get the answer.
Yeah.
You get the answer 100%. With the progressions, with the solar arc. When you go all those levels, like he's like trying to discount a level, like in moving up in evolution, or if we want to talk dimensionally, he's like saying erase a whole dimension of astrology. Right? Even with him just only doing whole sign, like he doesn't even fucking
no intercepts.
No intercepts, and right? Where God, I have helped. I don't know why I attract everybody with intercepts, but fucking I do.
The most common intercept I see is Taurus Scorpio.
Yeah. Or Leo Aries, and those ones I think are the hardest because there's no ruler to go to the other spot.
Mm. Oh, Leo Aquarius?
Oh, Leo Aquarius, yeah. But I was thinking with you, with the solar astrology for and that's where you have to look. I mean, like, and if you look at your chart and you look at your Chiron, or you're looking at a partner and you're looking at their Chiron, it's like, okay, yeah, what house is it in? What sign? Okay, great. You can get a lot of understanding, but you want the underlying of that. So in your case, it would be relationships because you're a Capricorn and that solar house is Cancer. And so it would be not feeling partners emotionally supporting you, like that they really don't support where you want to go and what you're trying to do. And they don't see that you're emotionally putting more in and they're not giving the same back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it works. Definitely.
I know that the deep, I'm not trying to put you on the spot here.
No, that's good. I think it's good for people to hear that stuff because it's true. So, start looking at where your sun's at,
and especially
with your Chiron over there because it's real.
People with Chiron and Cancer right now, it's Chiron and Aries, right? So they're getting their square.
Me.
Right. And
right now.
I'll never forget my Chiron square. It was fucking rough. Being in Gemini and I have the North Node conjuncted. I remember solar wise, right? It's in my 11th, even though it's in my 10th, because I'm a Leo rising and I'm a Leo sun. Mm-hmm. So it's weird because it's in my 10th, but it's really my 11th too. So it's again, my shadow of like, will the world see me for what I do? And yada, yada. But when it was Chiron square in Pisces in my 7th, 8th, right? It was like, is there any partner in the world out there who does this shit? Because I had just gone through a breakup at that time too when I started doing this every day, and like she didn't fully see it at the time, so I was like fucking like just looking for a spiritual relationship back when nobody was doing it. Mm-hmm. I remember, and I know it's embarrassing, but I did like a vision board like in 2013 during my Chiron square, and I was going through my Saturn return during my Chiron square, and Neptune square my Chiron. Chiron, Neptune conjunct square my Chiron. That's hard in Pisces, right?
Right.
And also Chiron and Gemini, right? Dealing with the mind. I went through panic disorder, fucking agoraphobia, fucking anxiety, fucking all that shit. And for years, and it was hell. And quitting drugs and all the fucking shit that came up in my head about all that. But I put Gabrielle Bernstein, because she was the only other person, like woman-wise, that I was really seeing out there. It wasn't like I was going to put Dolores Cannon, who had just died. Or I wasn't getting right, you know what I mean? Or you know what I mean? Like I love her, but I don't love her like that. You know what I mean?
Type, yeah.
But I remember I had put Gabrielle Bernstein as kind of like the vision board of the kind of woman that I was looking for, right? And then Gabrielle Bernstein totally went like not
right
where I agree spiritually at all, and especially even in these last like couple years, like it makes me feel embarrassed now, especially seeing her being about the shot and being, you know what I mean? So it was like. That was rough because I remember dating sheep, and I remember going through my Chiron return or my Chiron square and being like, fuck, you know, like I remember I was dating somebody and she's still cool, my friend, she's cool, but like, you know, like she was like getting her fucking master's. And so she told me like, we like almost pretty much fell in love. And then she was like, nope, like I'm going to go finish my master's and going to go get my doctorate, and I don't have time for a relationship. But that whole time, like I remember doing my webinars, and she watched me do one of my first ones, which was June of 2013. And I made like $7,000 in like 20 minutes, you know? And she was like, she's being she's a psychologist, right? A doctorate in psychology. So she's a psychologist. She's like, how, like she almost didn't believe it, but still never saw it. And I'll never forget when she did become a doctorate and she did become a psychologist. And she finally, after all the years and after getting engaged and stuff, told me like, it was right in front of me. You showed me all these ways. And now here I am getting paid like $300 an hour to talk to some crazy fucking situations. And like, that's the top, you know, like where I watched you be able to like really help thousands of people and make what you need to go build what you built, the businesses that you built. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that whole time I was trying to show you, right. Now it's too late. You know what I mean? So like, there's always that sheep thing where it's like, it'll never be the timing you think. You'll think, oh God, they're going to finally come around and we'll fall in love. When the time comes around is when they either have already gotten engaged with someone else and you've already moved on. It takes a long time for a sheep to fucking get even the smallest portion.
Well, you never know if they're going to actually wake up or not.
Right.
Because some do and some don't. That happens in its own divine orchestration. But yeah, you can't just stick around in those situations and hope and be like, just watch them go down a road that maybe they're happy with it. I mean, that's the thing too. Like, are you happy going down that road? Well, no, but society says I should. It's the right thing to do. Okay.
Well, I think the sheep thing, to me, the hardest part is the ones that get it and they post, you know, a bunch of stuff about it, but they don't walk it.
Right.
Right. So it's like they love talking about it. They love understanding it, but they don't live it in their life. They still are stuck in their traps and they still are trying to figure out how to get out. And if you're there and you're trying everything you can, and then it feels like, gosh, you should just go watch my videos now at this point, because I'm saying exactly what I've been saying. And it's like a fucking circle of just continuing. And it's like, I don't want to be the teacher-student relationship. Mm-hmm. That's really what dating a sheep is becoming a teacher-student negative relationship. And so I feel like, you know, that's what's making it to where it's so hard right now. I think for those that are awake and walking the path right now, and whether you're masculine or feminine energy out there, it doesn't matter. It's like, it's fucking having to let go of this old vibration and realize finding the new vibration will come faster the more you let go of the old. And I think that's really difficult, you know, for all of us. But I think at the same time, that's the positive, is seeing the newer frequency being ready to activate the more that we're stepping into that ourselves and separating ourselves from anybody in the old frequency. And that's not easy.
Yeah. And I think still like having at least enough compassion to be like okay with going a separate way. You know, there doesn't need to be judgment here. It's just, who do you want in your energy, and what world are you creating for yourself, and what are those relationships going to look like? I don't think it has to be a negative, you know, connotation on anybody, or any kind of, you know, hierarchical place of, no, I'm better because I'm going this way with my life. Like, we're just going different ways, you know. So what? there's someone out there that's going to relate to me. There's someone out there that I'm not going to have to teach and hold their hand spiritually every step of the way. Or just like try and pull out, because that's exhausting, right? That takes a lot of capacity to just constantly be trying to pull someone out when they don't want to take the red pill themselves.
Oh, I was going to say, like, you know, it's one of those things too, where it's like, I think you bring up amazing points, but I think it's more of this internal attachment to, like, well, I still might see something with people, or you might, you know, it's like, it's very hard to deprogram yourself at this time of, like, because there's so many programs that have been put in us of the kind of person that we want or whatever. And now that's all changed. It gets completely changed. So it's a completely new frequency. It's completely new ways of living life, completely new ways of systematic understanding of the system itself. So it's like, you know, it's like, it might feel like a needle in the haystack, but it's more about getting rid of the whole haystack.
Right.
And finding just a stack of needles that already is needles. Like, you know, instead of trying to search through the sheep, right? It's about literally not even being in the world where the sheep are, or even being on the fucking fields where the sheep are. And finding, as Sting would say, the fields of gold.
I don't even know how we would go about fully doing that, but I do think there are communities out there that, you know, you can be a part of and at least be around a lot, you know, a lot of like-minded people. I've been saying lately, like, people are the most valuable commodity right now. And I think that's still true. And it's going to be even more true as we progress here. So, yeah, find the needles in your life, but not those kind. the right people. Find the connections in life that you're not pulling people out, so that the majority of your time spent with other people is with people that are at least on a similar wavelength. Whatever this new wavelength is, because I don't even know what to call it. And everybody wants to say 5D, 3D. I don't know what it is. It's felt like a really interesting shift. But finding people that at least are feeling it too. Like, yeah, I don't know where we're going. I don't know what exactly this is either, but all I know is there's a big illusion out there. There's a lot of weird shit going on, and things are changing. Because if you're going to hold on to the old ideals from what we thought we knew, it's crumbling right in front of our eyes. You know, don't get attached to that.
No, but I think it's about calling what it is. It literally is a new frequency. It is a new earth. It is a new full-blown system. It is a program that is divinely programmed, not falsely programmed. That the world and the earth that we've been raised in to be was not the frequency that we came out as, and we have always felt that we didn't fit in because we didn't fit into that lower frequency, which is really just an old frequency.
Right. That was the one we were outcasted from by that frequency itself.
And so I think that's how to call it out. And that's where I think Uranus teaches you it's the circles that you hang around. It's the friendships. We're lucky here because, you know, we're here at High Vibe Studios, and so everybody that even comes through this door,
I know,
is and I don't let anybody just in the door.
It's definitely a blessing,
right? So it's like, you know, it's like everybody that comes through and the energy that this place holds is just this kind of new frequency energy, and that's all that's talked about. And so we almost feel like we're never even in the normal world, and that's why the idea of time or the show timings, it's not on that system. Because we're not even living in that system here.
Gosh,
and you and Dylan, I got to say this, you and Dylan last week both told me that when you guys both come here, feels like you guys are in a whole different fucking...
Oh, since the first time I came here, I called this place like a spiritual casino, because it's not like you have the oxygen pumping down, but there's still the effect of just the vibe. You just stay awake longer. You're just more immersed. You're just here. You're like spiritually alive.
It does feel like
it's crazy.
That world outside doesn't exist.
I don't even know. Yeah, that's part of it too. I don't even know what's going on out. Like, it's
that
crazy. I spend so much.
It was my whole design on this
time here. And I enjoy my time here. It's like the last weekend. I spent my whole weekend here in my office because I have shit that I like to do in there, and it's just away from the noise. and it's like it's a little spiritual haven, you know? So it's very interesting.
It's funny, in 2016, I started a club night called Haven. And that was my idea of like making it a haven.
Yeah. That was my favorite little weekend club at up in Nevada City.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the Haven Underground. They'd have like some DJs. They used to have a really cool dance party. I think it was like the last Thursday of every month. It was like called Electropical. Good times.
Well, it's like Don't Trip, right? Like that same feeling is there at Don't Trip.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, big time. Don't Trip's such a vibe.
Right? And it's like...
But it also breaks people too. It's kind of crazy. It's this mixture of this really high vibration, but people also go through crazy sort of work inside themselves there to get through it. It's very interesting. It's the top of that mountain's a vortex. It is, 100%.
But I also think the way that, you know, that Danger House and Risky and Brett have made it is to where it really is about unity in the divine way, not this unity outside kind of weird fucking systematic way that's on the news.
Yeah, whatever
media.
unity Biden was preaching. Not that.
It's like a unity with the land. It's about balance.
Mm-hmm.
And so wherever you're out of balance,
it comes
because
up.
The way that the stages work, right? It's like, nope, the wellness is, you know, from like 9 a.m, 10 a.m, when the stages stop until the stages start back on, you know, at like 2, 3, 4, right? Like, and then there's a balance of how everything works there. And if you're out of balance in yourself, plus in the nature, plus in the connecting with people, plus, and then you add all those things to it, and even all the music, the musicians that are picked, and everybody are in balance with what they're putting out and putting out really high frequency music. It's not a place to where if you're just there to bring your sorrow, you can't double down on your sorrow. You got to lift up out of that stuff, and it will bring up any weird shadow that you're holding on emotionally.
It really does.
You know,
it's crazy to watch. The 2 years that I've been there, the last 2 years, I've seen the most beautiful moments. I've seen had the most beautiful connections, and I've seen people also where they just couldn't be there. I just have to. I can't. I have to get out. What's going on?
You know, I don't know why I'm channeling this right now, but for people out there that are looking for places, right? Now, I'm not saying do this, but I'm saying like, it reminds me of when Timothy Leary had his house in New York, and he was doing, of course, LSD fucking there, but it was a movement that he started, and it was something that I know people sometimes look at him as a cult, but it really wasn't like a cult. It was definitely, they were on a different frequency, and they were all there and at Millbrook. And, you know, one of my fucking biggest people that I fucking looked up to was Timothy Leary. And
I mean, he was trying to tell people to break out of this matrix way before anybody else, you know?
I know.
Think for yourself, like live life for yourself. Like, what are you doing?
I know. And of course he worked with Ram Dass, and of course a lot of people love Ram Dass. Mm-hmm. I'm just more of a Timothy Leary because he was more edgy, and he was willing to have the more intellectual. He was willing to go into the mainstream more, where Ram Dass really pulled back into the spiritual thing and like the letting go of the ego and all that. And then there was a lot of conspiracies, people saying that Timothy Leary was CIA and all this crazy shit. But it's like, no, like that motherfucker broke through so much and called so much out and how to raise the frequencies, and was honest. Like he was like, you know, showing that there, I mean, if you think of the time when he came around Harvard and became, you know, the head of the psychological department and was using psilocybin and LSD and knowing how to like actually do the trials, right? Like, I mean, he had 30 people going to a church. They all took fucking, I forgot if it was psilocybin for that one or if it was, I think it was acid on that one. They all went and took acid, and they went to a church, and one guy flipped out, right? And he fucking went out on the street, and he was fucking having a fucking mental breakdown through when LSD hits, you know, after that first hour, fucking if you're attached to your ego and the identification of things, it's gonna fucking be the gnarliest experience of your life of fear. And so he ran out, but the second he ran out, he saw this old couple holding hands, and the love that was there. and instantly shifted. And then it brought up, when he walked back in the church, it brought up all of his fear from the weird shit. He didn't like going to church when he was young, but it broke him through. And then he had an amazing experience. And every single person in the fucking 30 people at the trial all felt a higher frequency experience being in the church. And it wasn't about what the church represented. It was that it was a space to where people were coming that they all felt that were there to find a higher reasoning that they all connected with. So it was like he was doing stuff that even this day they don't even do. They don't even do that with a shot.
Literally, they don't test that.
They don't test it. So I think that that's where people have to start kind of thinking about who you hang around. Like, I get it. Your friend's having a fucking birthday and you're going to a bar. Maybe that's not the frequency anymore for you.
Man, that's the frequency that has been trying to show up in my life more than ever lately. Whether I'm dating or just people, like, there's just a lot of drinking. It's like hot again. I don't know. Have you noticed that at all?
I mean,
it's just,
you know me, I've been sober for so long.
It's kind of always been a thing, but it's just coming back up a lot right now. And I'm gonna be 3 years in October sober. So I'm just like I'm down. Like, I'll kick it sometimes depending on the event, but like, I don't want to go hang out at a bar.
No, that's like the lowest.
Like, if you're DJing like at Sharky's with like Danger House, like, I'll go kick it.
We
Like, that's
shift the vibration,
right?
We
Yeah.
do shift it.
But yeah, no, just
we go in there. Whenever I DJ with Danger House, even when we were at Terrace After Hours in Vegas, it's like we go in there and whatever the frequency is, we're bringing it high and we're bringing it positive. Or wherever I go to DJ myself, or why I do spiritual dance music, right? It might be in somebody's living room. It might be in somebody's kitchen. It might be in their headphones in their bed. It might be wherever. It's fucking like taking them out of it. Let's go. Let's get out of this old frequency. Mm-hmm. And so, but I think that this is where people have to start looking, because that's where this, this cross of the sleeping phoenix is going to come, that I just talked about with Dylan. Mm-hmm. This is where it's going to come bite people right now. Like, you're just going to keep going into these old frequencies, and it sucks. Like, even me to get to this journey, my best friends I raved with and everything, it sucks. I literally had to say no to my best friends. I had hundreds of best friends that we used to rave together with. Hundreds. And I have all the receipts of that, And it's like, when I went on this journey, I literally said goodbye to everybody. And did the hermit thing. It's always as far as walking into the fucking, with that light guiding me and trusting that. And it's a little dark at first, and it's a little scary, and it's a little depressing. But boy, when you get to the other side, holy shit. It's like the 8 of Cups to me, just walking away from all those cups and looking at that new moon.
Following that inner guidance.
Yeah.
Getting out. And
not falling for it. Like, not, it's hard to do the, like, oh, I feel like I have an obligation. This person was nice to me. It's like, if this is your real spiritual shit, you see where, when the tracks have changed, you're not going to go, well, I'm going to keep taking my train full blast when I know at the fucking train fucking junction that the tracks moved left. So I should probably slow down to take that turn and go the right direction. Instead, I'm going to just keep going full and I'll be fine, and derail yourself completely off your destiny.
Some people need that derail moment, though. That's what will get people back on the tracks, but it's fucking cataclysmic. And hey, that's just how it goes sometimes. Sometimes you see the awareness and you have it sort of ahead of time, and you're willing to kind of hit the brakes or make the turn or do the adjustment in your life to get there. And then sometimes you just keep, no, it'll be fine. No, it'll be fine. No, it'll be fine. Oh, fuck. And then there's our moment. And either way, it's a learning experience. So it's not like whatever. But I do think at this point, that cataclysmic event is going to compound bigger than most people want to deal with. So if you're feeling like you need to change something, I know everybody's like, I've already changed. Yeah, me too. But guess what? That's our constant, especially right now with so much evolutionary shifts, crosses, huge ingresses. I mean, it's just
this is definitely not the time to fuck around and go into old frequency and to go into those. We've had enough fucking derailments in our life, but I feel like God at the bowling alley had the fucking, you know,
the bumpers up,
and the bumpers are gone, and you can gutter ball right now.
Yeah.
And you don't get a second throw, you know?
I think the bumpers,
like, there's
came
no
off in
more
2020.
second throws. You know, this is like the 10th frame is up and you can keep going if you keep getting fucking strikes, and that's it, or else it's done. I love that analogy right now for like, because bowling, that's the only game where you can actually continue to keep going on that
One
last.
more. If you get 2 strikes,
if you get to the 10th
another
frame and you just keep getting strikes, you can get up to 3 strikes more, and then and you're good, right? And that's how you can get to 300. There's no other way.
Mm-hmm.
That's what people don't even think of in their mind of the numbers thing either, is like you have to turkey that motherfucker at the end. So it's like, this is if we're at the end and you're looking at the cycles all ending, you've got to be throwing strikes right now. You can't be throwing gutter balls. You can't be throwing fucking split eights. You can't be fucking throwing fucking, and even not knowing your approach and doing like that. I think it's cute when you take a chick on a date and she fucking throws the ball like fucking, and I don't know how they fucking get strikes, but hey, whatever the approach is, it works. Because some chicks, I don't understand it. They walk up, they just fucking, they like throw the ball and like spins all weird and it fucking goes in and it's so slow. I look at the miles per hour, it's like 3 miles an hour and it fucking goes and all the fucking, and it works. It doesn't matter how you get the fucking strike.
It really doesn't.
As long as
really
you are aiming with your energy and you're getting those motherfucking strikes right now, even if you're looking sexy as fuck in that hot dress and fucking just kind of ooh, that's actually kind of sexy to me. I'm like, damn.
Totally. Some people can do it with a little bit more style. Some people can do it with a little bit more grace. But in the end, it doesn't matter unless you're getting those strikes in your life. And that's all that's really important. Like, don't take stupid losses right now. For people that are not even on the same, they're not even on the same, you're in completely different realms, but sharing the same physical realm at the same time. You know, show people love, but go put your energy and your effort into strikes in your life and where you're actually like knocking your life over, like in a good way. 10.
Well, I think I don't think it's so much about how you deal with heartbreak to kind of close this show as our last subject, but I feel like the heartbreak is continuing to not stay in the high new frequency and to continue in the old frequency. And that's the heartbreak, is when you're trying to date somebody who's in the old frequency, or you're still trying to get somebody back who's in the old frequency, or you're trying to continue to hold on to the old frequency, period, by the friends you hang around, by the energy that you're around. It's like everybody's got to take a jump and a leap of faith here into a higher and a better new frequency. And it's like, there is no heartbreak. The idea of heartbreak is so 3 of Swords, mental. By trying to figure out and continually to analytically figure out the heart's going to always, when you listen to it, go to the high, newer frequency that's love and that's positive. It won't go to the bar just to go. That doesn't fill my heart up. Like, I don't drink. Like, you know what I mean?
There's something else that would be more fun for you to do with your time anyways.
100%. Especially now, it's been the work. Right? So it's like, people who want to do this work and really want to live it, instead of just be lost in fucking the sauce of the fucking old frequency and the old matrix that's dead. And it is like a zombie apocalypse happening.
Oh, for sure.
It is. It's not a joke. It's actually fucking happening. You know? And I think that people need to really start paying attention to that.
I think so too. I think that's where people are going to feel heartbreak like never before, is if they don't start making the changes, whether it's a relationship or whatever you formed a relationship to in this world. Like, it's just not the time to mess around and not fully 100% go in the direction that you know is right for you. Whatever that is.
I mean, I think that the hardest part is that it's changing. Well, it's really not even changing. It's getting to where it's just literal and simple, where it's just like, you're on the new frequency or not, period. And you can't be thinking about how is it going to affect this? Because that's just keeping you in the old frequency.
Yeah, the old frequency was planning. The old frequency was
Right.
looking ahead until, what am I going to do when I retire?
I know.
Who am I going to be married? Do I have my 401k? Like, all that stuff.
I mean, think about how many young people over the last 2 years of the shot, from 20s to 30s to 40s, have died thinking about those things with money in their bank accounts. And just so they could go to a bar, or just so they could go to the places
travel to a country.
It's like all for no reason, just to like do it or whatever, right? Like it was all based upon like the shot was why I did Purgatory, that it was the entrance into Purgatory by taking it.
I think it was the biggest human.
Even by keeping your job, right? People say I got to keep my job. It's like, you know how many jobs opened up because of that were better and make more money and actually do whatever, if that's your excuse. Like that's where this is like, it's like who's made it through this whole thing, jumping frequencies to the new frequency, and there's not a lot of us left.
I know. I just
and
had
it's
to turn
sad when
date.
there's people who make it to this place and they don't jump. And at every point over the last 2.5 years, I've had to be like, fuck, you're not going to come? Okay. You're not going to come? Okay. You're not going to come? Okay. And that's fucking rough when you get to this many jumps and you have to keep going and that many lily pads up, that many stairs up the temple. Like, it's like, fuck.
It really is. I met someone really cool that I was like excited to go on a date with. And after talking more, I found out, got the shot just to keep her job. And it was like, I had to tell her, and like, I don't want to go on the date because I don't feel like there'd be a future with like, it's a sign right there. Like,
I know.
No judgment. No, like, it's not like I think she's a bad person. I think she's cool as fuck, but am I going to waste my time? Because there's something else out there that's already going the same way I am. It's hard.
I know, and I feel like people who got it have a chance to go through this.
Absolutely.
But you notice that the ones that do really aren't. They're still connected to the.
But I need someone who's right on the team with me. You know, if I'm going to try and do that.
You know, not ready to fully jump out of the system.
Yep.
You know, jumping out of the system.
Looking for someone who jumped out.
Right? Is like fully out. Like I don't even, that reality of like that old frequency and that old, I don't live that at all. I don't live on the normal thing. I don't do the whole, let's get breakfast. Let's go get lunch. Let's go get dinner. Let's go here. Let's go there. Let's go shopping together. Let's go here. Let's go fucking out tonight. Let's go.
Yeah, it's really hard to like.
I've jumped out of that for so long. I've been doing this motherfucker for so long. But when you see people like David Icke and you see people that are out there that have been doing this work, even like fucking Greg Braden, or you see all these people, they don't live that normal life.
No.
Once you jump into the new frequency, you never go back. So, you know, for me, it's very easy to see how much harder it is for people, and whether they got the shot or not, to fucking make this jump right now. This is the hardest one for those people.
What's interesting too is I feel like anybody who's made the jump, they came out on the other side with everything that they wanted.
Every time.
So it's this scary decision where we're like, I don't know what's going to happen.
I know.
But man, when you have the faith, all of a sudden things just happen in your favor. It's insane. It blows my mind. Everybody I've ever seen,
even your own life.
Like my life, I've seen it happen in other people's lives.
I was homeless, man. And
you were there. I mean, every single person had to. You have to make the jump, and it feels like I'm at rock bottom. I'm fucked, and all of a sudden
everything just comes in,
and all of a sudden
everything just happens.
Crazy.
It's
so,
crazy.
I mean, I want, if anything, I want to give people confidence out there. Like I know it looks scary sometimes when you have to make these calls, but you're gonna be just fine. You'll unlock ways to create your life that you didn't even know existed in you before. It changes your DNA when you make that fucking decision. It's
the natural evolution of it, not the false one that's holding it back.
Which was something I even said in a horoscope recently. I was like, it's so funny. Like, I feel like DNA is changing right now big time, especially after that Mars-Uranus North Node conjunction. And then I laughed and I was like, it's so funny. Like the whole time all our DNA was going to change anyways.
I mean, but
there was a way that was a more, natural way to go about the evolution than the other.
Like, a congressman just brought up the 23andMe fucking thing, right? Um, wow, they're definitely. Ooh, they're suppressing that one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, when it comes to everything dealing with the DNA thing right now, and you think about the jump, it's like, or you think about the push for transitioning kids, the push for everything we talked about today with like the whole masculine, right? And like not showing the masculine anymore, and like basically trying to push that down. I'm gonna have to use DuckDuckGo. It's crazy.
Here's a good question while you're pulling that up.
Yeah.
Can you give examples of what you will do now dating instead of what you don't want and what and won't do? People, need help with this new path. Like, what are some examples of what you would do now with dating? For me, it's just making these decisions quicker. Like, is this going to fit or not? I don't want to fully commit or get emotionally tied up in people that I don't feel like are on, a similar journey, whatever that might look like, but at least spiritual, out of, made the jump, see through things. Like, yeah, we're still live a physical life too. So like enjoy the physical fruits of this life. But like, I think just internally, like, hey, you know too, when you meet people. So, that's what I'm looking for. And then what are the do's that go along with that are like, do everything that you love to do, have fun, have love, show each other love. Like it's all about that. Have fun, laugh. Laughing's probably the most important thing, like spiritually, that I don't think people talk about enough too. Like,
oh yeah,
how
100%.
fucking like spiritually connected is sharing laughter with somebody. Like, that's like where it's at. So for me too, it's like, can I joke and, have fun and laugh? Like, that is so important. Like, I think we need to do more of that, which goes along with like not taking things so seriously. Like, there's certain things to take serious, and then there's certain things that just need to get laughed off,
I agree. I think for me, it's if you can't jump into this new frequency and want to be a divine union that is doing this work together and individually and fucking full blown leave the system, won't take. Period. Not gonna sit and watch you continue to work your fucking old frequency job. I'm not gonna sit and continue to support an old frequency.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to continue sitting as you watch you put yourself into fucking the enemy territory every day and not know if you're ever going to be able to come back because you get swept up.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting with
not
dating.
Even going to fuck around with that.
What I've started noticing too in my own dating life is like when a woman says, oh, I work at a firm or this accounting or a nurse or all, whatever, pretty like normal, but like high end normal job. Like they make a good living for themselves. They're successful women. I'm not that interested because they're in that, they're still doing that. It's like the women that I'm really attracted to are like, oh, you're making music. Oh, you're creating art. Oh, you're building this. Oh, you stream on Twitch. Like, what? Like, that's crazy. Like, there's just these different like ways that people go about being their unique self and making a living that I'm more interested in, or doing the spiritual work, especially like, oh, you do astrology too? Like, that's hot. Oh, you're a tarot reader? Like, oh, like, something different that isn't on the mainstream level is something that I look for now too, which 5 years ago, I would have been like, oh, damn, you make good money doing that. That's dope. Like,
There's a difference though. If a girl tells me you're an astrologer, oh, that's hot, I'm already like, they don't get it, right? Like, it's like more like, they wouldn't say like that's hot. It would just be more like, oh, no, yeah, I'm already in it. I already get all of it. Not maybe astrology, but I do da-da-da-da-da. Like that's where it's at. Like it's like this is a divine battle happening, whether people want to fucking try and say there is no battles. Like, sorry to say, evolution is a battle for life all the time.
I've been saying it for the last 2 years. Like, this is a spiritual war, first and foremost.
And I ain't gonna
big time spiritual war.
Yeah, I ain't gonna be fucking with anybody right now that fucking doesn't even realize they're in enemy territory. That'd be like trying to go rescue someone in the middle of fucking World War II in Nazi Germany.
Mm-hmm.
You know, which this is, you know, that it's not. There's just, it's not even conceivable. So, you know, because it deals with every part of lifestyle, and being off the system of that lifestyle, that it's just grabbing people because that's how they went and got the shot. Well, I want to be able to go travel. I want to be able to go do this. I want to be able to go do that. And it's all stuff that was all purgatory stuff. But it's all quick hit. It's all like, you know, stuff like that has nothing to do about this divine work at all. Period. So, like, that's where it's just a flat out, like, that's like a huge, like, I think our first show was spiritual red flags, right?
Yeah.
But like,
the
red flags are easy for me in the reaction to it.
Yeah, I think when it comes back to those red flags, like, it couldn't be easier at this point with the awareness you have to see what the big red flags are in your life. Like, stop doing them. They're not even red flags anymore. They're stoplights. They're like a drawbridge. it's going up and there's a red light and, like, you better stop.
Well, especially because there really is like a real spiritual, like, war going down, right?
100%.
Like, and I think that's like kind of the hard spot, especially when I'm about to show people here. I'm gonna just put on the iMac. Fucking
show it at.
This just came out on July 24th, so the day after fucking. Hold on, let's see if that was the right.
Your
iMac.
Birthday.
I know that was kind of crazy. Oh, I guess it's not that iMac.
The other iMac. It's so weird that it does that twice.
Well, I never know if it's the top or the bottom one.
It's usually the bottom.
It's usually the bottom one, I know, but this time it's the top. Yeah, this one's it's the top one.
There it is.
So, and this is from Law Enforcement Today. This is not like a joke, but you know what? If you type in this stuff on Google right now, it won't. House member warns DNA testing services could be co-opted by our enemies to develop bioweapons. And I warned about this for years. A good number of Americans have used DNA services for 23andMe and Ancestry.com to get their ancestral history. It's a simple process, with individuals usually submitting a saliva sample to the companies. From there, they're able to perform a DNA trace and determine someone's lineage. Sounds cool, right? Maybe not so much. The Daily Mail writes that a Democratic member of the House Intelligence Committee is warning that bioweapons are currently being manufactured that utilize someone's DNA in order to kill them. This is exactly what the last James Bond was about, 007.
Straight up.
Right? Here it is from Daily Mail, but I'll show you that in a second. I'll finish the article. Representative Jason Crow told the Aspen Security Forum last week that Americans should use caution when sharing their DNA. What do you think fucking the whole CV fucking test for too?
100%. That was if anybody that went and didn't, right. Even the at-home tests are like,
I've never done one.
The ones where you went and got clinically tested, what did they do with that swab? You have no idea what they did with that. And that's why they made that movie come out at the end of 2021. After everybody had got the shot and everybody had fucking got the fucking swabs so many times. Scary shit.
And that movie was supposed to release at the beginning of 2020 and they didn't let it. When sharing their DNA with private companies, which might sell their information to bad actors who could take advantage of such information to weaponize someone's DNA against them. You can actually take someone's DNA, take, their medical profile, and you could target a biological weapon that would kill that person or take them off the battlefield or make them inoperable, Crow warned. The congressman highlighted the development of the new biological weapons while noting the popularity of DNA testing services, whereby users willingly share their genetic mapping with private businesses in order to gain knowledge of their genealogy and health profile. While such information can be used to an individual, it could also be used by bad actors in China. You can't have a discussion about this without talking about privacy and the protection of commercial data, because expectations of privacy have degraded over the last 20 years. Young folks actually have very little expectation of privacy. That's why the polling and the data show. And the former Army Ranger who served 3 tours in duty in Iraq continued to express his concern, knowing that Americans that are willing to spit into a cup and send it to 23andMe and get interesting data about their background. He then warned about where that spit shows up. And guess what? Their DNA is now owned by a private company. It could be sold off with very little intellectual property protection or privacy protection, and we don't have the legal and regulation remedies for it. We have to be open to the public and discussion about, and the protection of healthcare information, DNA information, and your data look like, because that data is actually going to be procured and collected by the adversaries for the development of these systems. And they know how to make that. Food insecurity drives a lot of other insecurities about in the globe. There's a number of ways we can look at biological weapons and the need to make sure not only are we securing human beings, but then also the food that sustains us. But it could be easy, the examiner said, taking DNA belonging to a target or even a close relative of a target and using it for purposes of developing a bioweapon against that specific person. Or people who right now, so if you think about that and what I've been saying about the DNA that's being altered now from the shot.
We had that same talk like 6 months ago.
They could be altering the DNA of people who got the shot to be exactly the
100%.
same, which is why you're seeing all this hive mind and you're seeing everybody do the same thing that got it.
Yeah.
And that's one bioweapon that they just released into the air. And everybody's
it's the zombie
gone.
apocalypse weapon.
Exactly.
It is the swarm.
And I don't know why people are just so, I don't want to know about this. Like, I don't want to da-da-da-da. It's fucking, like, it's not a conspiracy. Here's it, July 27th. You can take someone's DNA and design a weapon that can kill them. House Intelligence Committee member warns people not to share health data. Well, you already have shared it, because if your DNA is now being altered, just on Dr. Drew, it just was, I forgot what her name is, but she just brought it up, and it was all talked about on Dr. Drew too, about how
her
it's
name, like Victory or something.
Oh yeah, Kelly Victory, Dr. Kelly Victory.
Interesting name, right?
And the Swedish tests prove that it is altering people's DNA, and that they said it would be in their systems only for 2 days, and it's in their days for 90 days or longer, altering, and that it's crossed over a barrier that's never been done before into altering people's DNA. They said it would say in their RNA. No, it's altering their DNA, but it's altering their, what I'm interested in is it altering everybody's DNA into the same DNA code that a biological weapon could take them all out. They hit the switch, it's done. Bye. Goodbye.
That's the shit.
That's why.
That's the shit.
That's why. Like, how is it going to be if you're in the old frequency going to work?
It's literally a death trap.
In 2019, it was found that several Russian and Chinese labs were processing DNA tests for Americans through Medicare and Medicaid. And what did they just expand by Biden today in the Senate? That's what they're trying to do.
Medicare and Medicaid.
Medicare and Medicaid. So all these people trying to be like, oh, it's going to be so good for us. You guys are fucking idiots, because this is literally them trying to wipe you out.
I just hope people realize at this point, like, anything that the government tells you to do is not in your best interest.
Correct. Right?
Like, just stop. Just instant. There's red flag.
There he is. Talking about it. There he is. This is not a fucking joke. And he's on the House Intelligence Committee. And this is the stuff they're talking about behind closed doors in those committees in the House.
I just think it's interesting, too, that they're just bringing up these, like, DNA tests when it's so much more than...
It's so much more than that. That's the easy stuff to scare people, because enough to just be like, well, you know, but if you do watch The Last James Bond, which is such an amazing movie, and I remember being like, uh-oh, all the people who got the shot are fucked, because they literally are able to look at the database in that movie and just be like, oh, yeah, these people, especially... What does this DNA do? It understands where your roots come from, your ancestry, your most spiritual fucking connection. But deeper than that, it understands your race, your ethnicity, right? Your fucking, all those little like traits. And then they're altering a code in people right now to alter their DNA so where they could get that code and go, okay, anybody who's fucking indigenous, let's kill first. So it doesn't look like it all at the same time.
Right.
Okay. Everybody that's part, because in that movie, it was like everybody that was part of fucking, what is it called? What was the James Bond movie, the last one called? A Spectrum. Anybody that's from a Spectrum?
Spectrum.
Yeah. It actually, the fucking doctor, it re-engineered it to kill them because he was working for the CIA and he was working for the fucking British intelligence agency. So he fucking, because the British intelligence agency created it. So it reversed and killed all them. And then it was able to fucking put the nanoparticles on her hand when she walked, so when James Bond walked in, remember? Yeah. He gave it to the head of Spectre who killed him in there. And then fucking he couldn't be with the girl that he loved, his daughter. And he killed himself at the very end and stayed because the fucking nanoparticles fucking, and that's what's in the shot. It's finally, after years of saying this, finally they're at least talking about it publicly that there are nanoparticles in the shot. That's what's so crazy. And it's like, fucking, are people like not paying attention now? Like they just are just going to go, I'm waking up. It's like, this is fucking real.
That's as real as it gets. And if you think about, like, a lot of people got those DNA tests and a lot of people got the jab and they know what they put in your jab. They wrote it down. Like, they know what batch you got. So these people, you can be kind of batched together with people and they know exactly how to hit the most vulnerable spot in your body.
Yeah. And they also know how to hit which race. What origin you come from. And that's the beginning of transhumanism.
It's crazy.
Where, and that's why that's why when it comes to the heartbreak right now, it's like people ask me like, am I heartbroken? Maybe it's why I have no solar plexus. I'm like, I fucking have been warning people for years. Or I just put up on my Instagram story, the Amazon towns and the Walmart towns all around now that just came out in the last year. And they were building them, but they weren't releasing it, and they just released them. I said it would be corporation prison camp fucking towns that here's your food, here's your money, and you're making us billions. But and I dropped the mic in 2017. And I said in the next 5 years.
Why do you think they're doing all this IRS shit? Why do you think they want to fuck everybody?
That's what I'm saying.
So they can get people trapped in those fucking corporate conservation camps. 100%.
Exactly. It's going to put them all into those corporation prison camps. I know. And it's so many. I couldn't believe it. I wonder if it's still on my story right now because I was just like, somebody sent it to me that just came out as a story and I fucking was blown fucking away. I was just like, holy shit. No. But I guess if I try and add it right now to one of my stories, I can do that way. I should have saved it. I'll just put it under my fucking Leo thing here. But that's what's crazy, dude. Like this is where you want to get out of the system and stop doing the old frequency, because the old frequency is turning your bar into at a Walmart concentration camp, where that's where you can go to the bar and then you can take more fucking 23andMe swabs for monkeypox now, or fucking whatever the fuck they're fucking trying to fucking get people on. And people are just fucking so oblivious right now, and it just fucking blows my mind. Like here we go. I can fucking, and I said that shit so clear. I was like, within the next people 5 years, you were crazy. I literally, and people have been canceling me, and ISAR's been canceling me, and all these fucking woke ass fucking astrologers out there. Oh, here it is right here. If I can. Okay, I added it, done. And then I'm going to show it to you all if I can. All right. We have to get through. I added it to fucking Leo. Me DJing. Boom. Amazon is creating company towns across the United States. Amazon new factory towns will lift the working class. Walmart company town of Bentonville, Arkansas is now home. Corporate multiculturalism, right? The modern day company towns of fucking, it's all over. It's happening all over. This just came out. Heads up, company towns often housed laborers in fenced-in or garden areas with the excuse that they were protecting laborers from unscrupulous traveling salesmen. In the South, free laborers and convict laborers were often housed in the same houses and suffered equally terrible mistreatment, with companies like Amazon and Walmart using Bloomberg to spin a homogenized PR campaign, and they are making a whitewashed comeback. Don't fall for it.
Straight up.
Right? And that was in 2021, some of those, for the links of it, right? But think what's been happening and where they're going with all this, because there's been Apple doing the same. There's been all these companies doing the same, right? It's just like fucking, I don't get how people are not seeing this. So when it comes to dating right now, when I literally mean you are not in the old frequency, all of that, I am not going to go try and break you out of an Amazon fucking corporation fucking prison fucking camp where you're at the bar. Not going to, I'm sorry. Like, the only way that's going to happen is a bunch of us in the new frequency when we go to save everybody that are stuck in their pods.
Right. Not right now. That's on you. That's on you. Yeah, it's crazy, man. That was such a good prediction.
Hey, I fucking predicted the whole fucking thing that's happened.
Straight up. It's fucking
you know, I guess that was like my biggest shadow too, was like realizing, okay, people aren't going to listen. I have to accept that. And for years being fucking tarnished. I think actually the real deeper shadow is that's even when my ex-wife left. Like she like didn't want to be associated with me because of all that shit I was starting to say.
Well, when all's said and done,
know?
at least you can say you were right. So.
Yeah. But I'm not that kind of person. It's more like, wow, you didn't,
I told you so.
I don't
told you so.
I'm not that kind of person. It's more like you didn't fucking listen when it was right there.
Yeah.
Like you didn't, like I've been off the system for so long, but I'm still in the system. I still pay my taxes. I still do all the fucking shit that you have to do to keep this all going. Yeah. But I'm not in the fucking world system.
No, I mean,
like,
we still, at this point in time, we still have to do enough in the old system to get by, but it's not like catering to it. You kind of have to make the old system your bitch. Like figure out how to do your thing in it. It's not always going to be that way. But for now it is. But that was another one of your predictions, or what you said too back in the day. It was like, you're going to have to play Monopoly. You better get good at it.
Yeah, I said it's going to be Monopoly world. And,
I remember that.
And everybody's going to have hotels on every fucking place. And if you don't have Park Place, you don't have Boardwalk. And
you're fucked.
You're fucked. But it's crazy because actually thinking of that shadow, it's like the other thing about me dating now is like my ex didn't even understand when I started to get canceled and talk shit on. It was almost like she looked at me like, why is everybody talking shit on you? Like about like what you're saying, you're coming across too intense. And it was just like, you're not supporting me in like what I'm saying.
She didn't want her name to be attached to it.
Correct. And then fucking like, that's what's crazy is like, I will only date somebody now who like, I'm just as much for them speaking truth as they are if I am. Like, right?
Well,
like that's the only way it's going to fucking work.
That's how bonds have to be made right now with people is like, are people actually going to stand by your side if you're in your truth? Like, it's one thing to just like be a polarizing dick, but it's another thing to actually just spit truth and tell people what's up and try to be a guide. Like, if you can't find someone in your life that will support you for doing the work that you're really doing, oh God, you know, and if it ends, it ends, but I know that's hard, but damn, like that's where it's at. People, we have to have each other's backs. Like it's the people that are going to change the game. So we have to be around people that are willing to continue to change the game and not cower, you know?
No. And if somebody leaves you, like I got left, like she fucking ended up with a video gamer that she watched the whole time we were together. That was fucking crazy for me. And he was pudgy. And it was because he had more people and he can get into VidCon. I got divorced she divorced me the day before VidCon so she could go and feel not guilty to go with him.
That's crazy.
Right? And so like, it was like, yeah, you're being like, you're not high enough in status, and you're saying things that fucking aren't cool. And it was like, wow. And then watching the videos of her and him at the apartment I was paying for, like doing like love like stuff and all this weird shit. Like people, we've all gone through this shit. Like that's the shadow work that's hard, is like learning to allow yourself to fucking go through it and feel it, instead of trying to be like, I'm so good I can get over that. No, accepting that hurts, accepting the pain.
Yeah. Taking responsibility for it too, though.
Yeah. And fucking working through that shit, and fucking thank God I have my therapist for all the time, and thank God I'm able to like admit it, and just it happened, and fucking, but fuck, that was fucking horrible to fucking experience. Especially not because she's spiritual, like she would never promote those videos even though he was, but then nobody would know that it was going on.
Oh wow.
Right? For her visa.
Foreigners.
I don't mind foreigners.
No,
but,
I'm just kidding.
you know, when you think about it though, like that's what the interview's all about and all that.
Yeah.
It's like showing pictures that you were together and all that shit. So that's why now I won't fuck. I've already been with a fucking, what do you guys call them? NPCs?
Yep.
Or somebody who's like trying to like copy paste my soul, or somebody who won't acknowledge who I am, or won't stand in truth, or I won't even fuck with that shit.
No, lesson learned.
I learned my lesson hugely, like in the biggest way.
And that's the
or sneaky shit, or too afraid, like too afraid to show who my partner is, or them afraid to show who they are. I don't trust people. Like I have not deleted my pictures. You can go and see when I was married. You can go and see when I was single before. You can go and see chicks I've dated in the past that I've taken pictures with. You could go down my fucking thing.
Yeah.
It's like I don't go through my Instagram and delete shit. That's also cutting off your fucking karmic energy that you fucking did, and fucking going, I want to deal with that later. Instead of letting it finally resolve, but just that's what it was, and you just move on. So when people say, oh, I've moved on, I've erased it all, it's like, oh.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the most healthy way. I think that you got to deal with it. However it is, I mean, maybe take the pictures off, maybe not, but the underlying thing is you have to deal with it. You can't just run away from it, or you'll never heal that wound, and you'll feel that heartbreak forever. So, I don't know. Feel it, deal with it. Be vulnerable with yourself. Talk to people.
Yeah, because you know, we're at a place to where it's, you can't be fucking around anymore. And everybody finds excuses like, oh, I'm still working on a plan to get out of my shit. Like, taking on new energy in a new relationship is the work that actually gets you out of the whatever funk you're in.
Yeah, that's true.
Too many people say, I got to do the work. I got to clear my energy or whatever. And like in situations like I went through in a divorce and all that, that's pretty, but yeah, I get it. But like, you know, I also at the same time was telling people like, yeah, I'm not there. But I also was like, true. I'm willing to see what's there, but nope, sorry, I'm not there. I'm not over that yet, or I'm not through that yet. And like, that was hard, but it was like, you know, like, at least I was still trying to fucking figure it out. You know, I wasn't fucking like, I don't know, but it also was fucking weird because 2020 was so weird. And I moved in here and I just was like, I'm just going to do the work.
And it was popping.
Sorta. And then the election happened, and then the shock came out, and then it was just like, later, Leo King, bye-bye. Fuck you. Like, you're crazy. And every Reddit board that's all the, you know, press about me is that I'm crazy. You know. And he's making predictions about that there's going to be like corporations making fucking towns, and people are going to live and work in them, and or that the shot's not going to work. and it's going to be the worst thing that ever happened. Oh.
So
I'd like people to go on those Reddit boards now and respond to those people. You know what I mean? Because people are like, oh, Leo, because there's like one person who backed me up, and then like somebody's like, oh, that's just Leo King. And I'm like, you really think I make up a profile and make up a name and fucking go talk? Like, I don't do that.
No.
Like,
no
I don't have time for that. But that's the world we're living in right now. And so finding relationships in this world, like, you know, Neo and Trinity, you got to find each other and this out of the system.
Yeah, it's not easy.
And we're in even the old first Matrix was the idea that Trinity could come in and that he could wake up, like, and that, but they only fell in love though after they both jumped out.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't fall in love while she was in the Matrix trying to help him. You know what I mean? Even though the Oracle had told her, right, that like that you would fall in love with the one, but she was still in denial and didn't know until after. You know,
It's
after
true.
the jump,
It's
following
always
the
gonna
white
be after
rabbit.
the jump. And you know, someone might show up and kind of ignite it, and you might have to follow that trail, but it might also just be two people that already made the jump. And I don't even know if it's something you can just like go pursue. Like, I feel like that kind of happens in a divine orchestration in some way. So it's almost like even the idea of dating apps and stuff, like maybe, but I don't know. I've been messing around on dating apps and I haven't found very many people on them that are actually spiritual and doing the work.
No.
So
Here, I just want to show, I just found an article that was a week ago about this corporation shit. The modern day company towns of Arkansas, August 1st, 2022, right in the middle of North Node Uranus conjunction. Right? Like, Old Springdale was very much a good old boy town. Old Springdale had no sense of culture. Oh, no sense of culture. So they're developing the culture now. Walmart and Tyson play an outsized role in the small metropolitan area's economic and political affairs and the poultry industry. So they're each city is owned by a company. Springdale is Tyson. Bentonville is Walmart.
wow.
Right? Oh, look at this. It said Roomba Yuma, the founder of the organization, and Intransitive.
What does that mean?
That's the name of the fucking organization that's transitioning towns into corporate fucking towns and giving it the culture they need, which advocates for the rights of trans immigrants into the state. Trans immigrants?
Hot word.
They're saying like transitioning immigrants to become new citizens. And you know, none of those immigrants have the shot. You know why? Because that's the only way to save the population is fucking people who don't have the shot to stay alive and do the work that are going to fucking survive.
So they can keep their slaves?
Well, no, it's because the only way to actually bring natural immunity that's spoken about is literally right now, like Dr. Bosch, the virologist from Germany, he's literally saying that like you have to now, when over 78% of the population in all the Western countries have the shot, that they'll never be able to, like, the virus will never go away on them. They're creating all the mutations and all the variants, that you introduce either a new population of unvaccinated people and then they all have babies that are not, because they're finding that the shot is translating into the babies, right? DNA. So they'll just keep popping with it, right? Because the virus will eventually try to suppress and get rid of the population that has it and not be as contagious anymore while the unvaccinated people grow. That's the only way to make it to balance.
Hope it works. It'll work. I'm not tripping.
Well, I'm just saying that the people who got the shot will keep fighting something they can't fight until their immune systems fail. And the virus wins. The virus has to win. Every time a virus has to win until it finally becomes like a cold or whatever to where it's just like light and you can not worry about it so much.
It's going to be really hard to do with that autoimmune disease. That
Even on
injected.
Dr. Drew, Kelly fucking Victory said, the unvaccinated people, you know, how many times have they've gotten COVID? And then even Dr. Drew was like, yeah, all the people and all my all my friends, including myself, we've got COVID multiple times, like so many, like 3-4 times. And the unvaccinated don't. And even the data shows that after COVID, your chances of dying from it, your protection is at a solid 97%, even if you're in the hospital. Whereas if you're unvaccinated, it's based upon the last date of your boost, which goes negative after 3 months, or 6 months it goes negative, but 3 months, it already is down to nothing. I mean, it's like crazy. You go into negative territory, negative defense.
That's how vulnerable.
That's how fucking crazy it is. So when you look at this trans town now thing, right? Where were we just at? Which advocates for the rights of the trans immigrants in the state because they have such power. It's been easy for folks to subscribe to or obey the rules that they have unwittingly put out for Northwest Arkansas. Walmart and Tyson, two of the world's largest corporations, play an outsized role in the small metropolitan area's economic and political affairs. In fact, Northwest Arkansas could be considered a critical locus of what some refer to as neoliberalism, the marketization and privatization of governing, championed in part by President Bill Clinton. I was just going to bring him up, that he was the governor of Arkansas, who was governor of Arkansas during Tyson and Walmart's surge to power and friendly with both companies and families. Hillary Clinton sat for 6 years on Walmart's board of directors. Neither is a company town in the traditional mining or cotton mill sense, but this weak local government and a severe lack of alternative capital, they're company towns for the public-private age that can live and die on markets far beyond their control. Workers stuck in cycles of poverty because of the companies pay low and the lack of benefits, a culture of science around criticisms or dissatisfactions with the corporations because of how much power they wield, the emptying out and pricing up of the rural hinterland. This is like fascism at its highest, is the government taxing these big corporations 15%, and I get it, but they're not, what people are not understanding is what they're going to do is the government's going to then seize the towns as assets.
Mm-hmm. And you'll be an asset.
And then you'll be an asset of the government can have control of the people because it's owned now by the IRS that will take it, and the government will own, that will be federalized land, and it'll be filled with people who have the shot who are not seen as citizens because they're now transition DNA into something that's not defined as a human being of a natural law that you get from the Constitution. So anyway, this is a wonderful way to really know that this is not a fucking joke anymore. And this show is the Divine Masculine as a message, and you can go watch fucking other shows and they're just going to fucking float you with some fucking Lionsgate bullshit. Final thoughts?
Don't go into the wrong portal right now. Follow the divine. Not just a meme. Not just a calendar. Follow your heart. Don't fuck around. That's my message. Make the choices to liberate yourself and stop fucking around with anything in life right now that doesn't feel like it's on your divine path.
And I'd say for people who do got the shot, go get the help you need. There are people out there. There are like doctors that are finding ways to try and fucking engineer that thing out. And they've created like actual like clinics where they're fucking doing that work right now. And I wouldn't fuck around. I would go. It was like when I had fucking anxiety and I had panic attacks every day and I fucking had agoraphobia for 3 years straight, and the panic attacks went from 1 hour to 3 hours to 8 hours a day to agoraphobia where I couldn't leave my house. What do you think? Do you think I'm just going to go, oh no, I fucking went to an outpatient behavioral health fucking facility for 5 weeks. And it was fucking weird to do group therapy 4 hours a day. And then when I left at noon, then I came to my old studio and started building it. And I fucking haven't had a panic attack after that 5 weeks. So if you have the shot, go to one of these clinics. Search them out. They're out there. Don't fuck around with this shit right now. Don't keep thinking it'll be okay. It'll be okay. It'll be okay. You don't know what's in it, and they fucking never tested it, and fucking it didn't work out for every animal test ever on MRI.
Literally not one.
Not one ever. So right?
That's the crazy part. Not one animal lived from the animal test they did do. Even on the SARS-CoV-1, So no SARS-CoV vaccine has an animal living rate.
0% living.
It's crazy that they actually tell you to put that in you. It blows my mind.
Correct. I mean,
it's that dark shit.
But I think that's like where it's like, come on, like, you have to admit when you did something that wasn't that the dark fucking swayed you into, and accept it. And there's people of the light work that are out there that have facilities right now that they're doing the good work and finding ways to get the graphene oxide out, doing ways to fucking stop the process that is continually evolving in Pluto's era that we are in, and where it's going to Aquarius. Even viruses evolve. That's why Pluto and Scorpio brought out AIDS, because literally it was from all the fucking shots and all the shit they gave in fucking Pluto and Virgo during the health fucking times of let's shoot everybody up, that those things evolve and will survive. Pluto is the zombie. The viruses are zombies that will survive. You give life to anything, even if it's fucking bad, it will survive. So Pluto is about survival. So the idea that it will die, the shot within you, when it was about giving the shot life that continues on without stopping. That's where you have to go to find where people can find a way to unplug the code out and find a way to get it out of you. Like there's people, like that's the solution.
Yeah, it can be done.
The solution is acceptance, and the solution is that there's a lot of people right now doing it. And they were all the people who got banished and all that shit. And I would trust them over all the people that are lying on TV to you right now, and all the doctors that gave it. Like, I can't believe all my uncles and aunts and cousins that got it, that fucking literally well, my doctor said I should. And I'm like, oh no.
Those aren't
what
doctors.
Are those doctors? Every doctor who gave the shot is going to probably have to lose their medical license for going against the Hippocratic Oath.
I saw,
I wouldn't trust one doctor who gave one shot to one person.
I saw a reel yesterday of a father who called in to the CVS because his wife, against his will, took his 5-year-old son in, got him vaccinated at CVS. 3 days later, had to go to the hospital, got myocarditis. And the dad called that place and recorded the conversation and was talking to the pharmacist, well, kind of yelling at the pharmacist, but like, why didn't you tell them myocarditis was a side effect? Oh, and she straight up said on the phone, because we don't want to scare people away from getting the shot. And he's like, you know that this is a side effect, and you know there's a 5-year lifespan after myocarditis, like it literally weakens and kills your heart, and you're just going to willingly, because you don't want people to say no and be scared to take it, you're just going to force it into them. It's fucked up shit.
You know what the most fucked up shit I heard recently, which this is a story that's starting to break, is the amount of money that was from all the funds that were supposed to fight COVID that has actually been given to shut up the worst cases that have been going on of people who've been affected, and they're out of money. So think about how many people you're not hearing it from because they pay off. Like the first nurse, remember her when she took it publicly? I mean, that should have been the sign.
I know.
The day the shot came out, right, in America, remember it was also, I couldn't believe in the UK.
And they never said she passed away.
I know,
they
but
never
she did.
once came out and she did. Yep.
I know. But like the fucking craziest part was in the UK, like the first guy, his name was, what was his name? It was like so absurd. Like I was like, what? And what was the guy's name in Britain? Fucking. Yeah, the first was a grandmother, Margaret Keenan, and I forgot the male's name. It's an early birthday present I could wish for, because it means I could finally look forward to spending time with my family and friends in this new year. Reading this shit later, 2.5 years later, is fucking 2 years later is fucking crazy, right? Like reading that it's a fucking birthday present, right? That's how they sold it to people.
All the time.
I can see
Over
my
and over and over
family.
again.
But that nurse that got it, right? Right? Like the nurse in America, there was all this proof like through her like social media, like she wasn't showing pictures of herself. They were just like posting pictures of like areas where she lived. And then it's coming out that the government paid her family to be on the social media and post pictures until it just died off. And in the last picture, it's crazy. It's like everybody's just like, she dead, you did, you know, like everybody's like, yeah. And like they never posted, she never posted again.
Oh my God. Paying off families to dish out propaganda.
This was the first, remember her?
Yeah, Tiffany. What was her name? Like Tiffany?
Right? Like this was the first thing in America you saw about it. And she fainted on national
Stacked
TV.
on national television.
The first person, the first press briefing. How could you not have read the fucking signs?
The divine and God puts the signs everywhere.
I know. So stop. I'm just going to be real. Stop being out here and being like, I got it. Love will save my life and save the day. Yeah, the love that other people are going to do to help you fucking get rid of that shit. I said the same thing when I was going through panic disorder and agoraphobia. And until I went and got the help, and until I accepted that I needed to get help, because all the stuff, I already showed you the warnings of a fucking Democrat, ironically, who's on the intelligence committee, who's saying that they are using bioweapons for knowing what's in your DNA. And that it's altering your DNA. So what if they have a code of the altering of the DNA that they already know? You should go get fucking fixed. I don't know what to tell you. Like, that's some divine masculine shit trying to look out for you, not trying to be and scold you, trying to look out for you. Like, fuck. That people are too afraid. Oh, yeah, his name was William Shakespeare. Which, if you look into the fucking whole Shakespeare thing, there really probably wasn't a Shakespeare.
Yeah,
that it's all like a story.
I'm just kidding.
It might be. I mean, you know, I wouldn't be surprised. But you know what I mean? But like, that's the thing is like, if you look at the sonas of like William Shakespeare, it's said to, I mean, there's so much crazy fucking alchemy in it and shit that it looks like it was a bunch of fucking alchemists and Rosicrucians who made the idea of William Shakespeare.
I wouldn't be surprised.
And then William Shakespeare was funded by King James. So
demonology. Yeah,
demonology and fucking the King James Bible. Mm-hmm. Right? So, I mean, and fucking, oh my God. I mean, and this was the stuff that High Vibe we were talking about before all that to give you all the signs. And I was warned, oh my God, so many red flags were warnings, like exact timings. Oh, man. Just go get the fucking help.
It's just part of it's just like admitting you fucked up. And like we all fuck up in life. So we just have to admit that sometimes and move on. And it's okay. And you know what? There's forgiveness in that.
There is. Because we want you to be around.
Straight up.
How can you get upset that we want you to be around? Why take a gamble on your life by continuing to think it's fine when so many people are just not waking up who got it? Just like they feel fine that one day and they go to bed. Bob Saget, I can name a million. Or did you just see the fucking Ashton Kutcher fucking thing?
No.
So you know why he's been gone for so long?
Bell's palsy?
No. We'll end with this story because this is fucking crazy. And you know, he fucking you know, produced True Beauty for me. Like, you know, like he fucking, there's like, I have like a thing about him because like, you know, like I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him and Tyra Banks. Like,
I always liked Ashton Kutcher.
So did I. Says he battled the debilitating vasculitis.
Oh, fuck.
So, and he lost his ability to hear, sight, and walk for more than a year.
That's what, oh my God.
But of course they're not saying it's from the shot, right? They're just saying,
obviously,
right? So it's like, And then he puts like 2 years ago. So like how I'm saying like, oh, like 2 years ago. Oh, it's almost 2 years, right? That's when they started giving it. Right? I had the super weird, rare form, super weird, rare, right? Like, why would he get that? You know what I mean? Knocked out my vision, knocked out my hearing, knocked out like my equilibrium. It took me like a year to like build all that back up. You don't really appreciate it till it's gone, until you go. I don't know if I'm ever going to be the same again. Maybe, you know, hello, that was 9 hours ago.
That's insane. I had no idea. It's happening all over the place.
I mean, Dr. Drew covers Bieber's face and fucking is like, that is 100% probably what happened.
Probably.
He's like, there's like, you know, he's like, he wasn't pregnant because it happens with women who have like triplets and stuff like that. Like
Bell's palsy was super fucking rare.
Well, he's saying the exact version of what he got. But then he even says what Hailey Bieber got is even more fucking makes no sense. And her stroke, like, you know what I mean? And the valve into her heart where it passes up to the brain and all that. I mean,
these are young people that were previously
Ashton Kutcher, he's
healthy,
like 43 or something, 42.
And healthy. Like these people have like, it's not like we're chronically seeing these people get illnesses. Like they're performing, working. We see it in the public.
I mean, if I go back to the story, it's like, you know, the complications from vasculitis, you know, took the actor away of Harold Ramis at 69 years old. He does not look too happy. And neither does Mila Kunis. Like, you know, and that's a Leo Aquarius relationship. That's a weird, odd relationship to be in right now during this time. Right? And especially in Aquarius with a detriment sun, or even in your chart, having detriment planets. I mean, I know that people are saying like he was out there defending kids before Condrick, but that you don't think that he had the shot. But you have to remember, he's fucking, he's in Hollywood. He has his own production company, Catalyst Productions. I know. I have been on Catalyst Productions shows. I can tell you by being around all the people of Ashton Kutcher, knowing even his buddy, fucking his best friend who fucking tried to be best friends with me because I was dating Erica at the time. And then when we broke up, fucking was really doing that to try to get to Erica. I know all, like, I've been through it all. I know the people. I know all the people in that circle. Trust me, they all got that motherfucker. So, you know, you can think, oh, because of what you see over there. I know. Because I know the people, and I've known them for over 10 years, and I know what they are. They have to show up to be cool in LA and Hollywood. Oh, God. Yeah, you know, you can look up Catalyst Productions and look at what they produce, and then go to True Beauty and see my name on there. If I could see fucking me on television. And go watch me on Apple TV. Go look up True Beauty and go download the whole fucking series. And look at Catalyst Productions. And it's Ashton Kutcher. So you want to, and I was there for fucking, I don't even know how many fucking weeks, and all of the fucking talent and all the producers and all the casting directors and all the people that fucking were part of that whole fucking show. So fucking like, and that was his biggest show at the time. That was bigger than Punk'd. It was the biggest production he'd ever done. ABC and Ashton Kutcher's Catalyst Productions. The biggest show he'd ever done. With Tyra Banks. That was how big it was. With Bankable Productions. So, you know, you could just sit there and just think in your head again, all these people sitting there like, oh, maybe I don't think they did because they did this. I'm telling you, as somebody in LA, in television, fucking, and knows the people around them and was around and knows how they operate and sees it firsthand, I could tell you, this motherfucker got it. And this motherfucker exactly what says, oh, like 2 years now? Like, that's what we all have been saying. It's been like 2 years now. And fucking, that's what happens. And then he loses his hearing, his eyesight, and his equilibrium. How many people have fallen during the shot? How many people have had pots that you've seen on TV where they fucking do that thing and they're fucking, the one girl, come on. Man. That's how you can see the psychosis right now of the old frequency in people. Like, you let go of the old frequency. Let go of your mind trying to be like, that's what the dark is doing is, if I just love this horrible darkness, I'll be okay.
It'll eventually love
me back. Exactly. And that's the same with relationships. I'm just going to love this person who's in the old frequency. Oh, I'm going to keep you in the pod.
Mm-hmm.
That's some truth shit that fucking you might not want to hear, but I'm trying to fucking help you the same way I tried to help you way before all this went down and gave you all the times, all the signs, and what was going to happen, literally. And it did. And fucking now you're going to tell me, oh no.
But Leo King, you triggered me. Hurt my feelings.
Yeah, and again, thank God somebody in the chat is like, vasculitis is the inglamination or inflammation of blood vessels. Hello.
Straight up.
Like, come on. You don't think he got it?
That's...
You don't think, look at the look on his face. You don't see the aura of his energy dying? The aura?
Even Mila looks drained.
I mean, she must be going through a lot.
Right.
I know that they actually really do love each other. They're not a fake relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it hurts the most hearing the story because he is a good guy. And I think that he was on the, just like, happened to just fucking, like many people out there.
Yeah, that's the crazy
happened to
part
make the wrong choice and now is dealing with huge repercussions.
Most people just tried to do what they thought was the right thing.
I mean, Mila Kunis is Jupiter ascending. She is Jupiter Leo and represents in the movie Jupiter ascending of getting rid of the reptilian energy and them harvesting everybody. She is the divine one who was born with Jupiter ascending in Leo, the constellation Leo.
Is it conjunct her sun?
And she is a Leo.
Is it with her sun? I've never looked at her chart.
No, I don't. I'm saying in the movie.
I thought you were saying it was based off her chart.
No, but I thought it was interesting that the same people who made that movie are the same Wachowski brothers that made fucking The Matrix and V for Vendetta.
That movie was legit.
That movie literally is the movie for the fucking like people who are super awake because it didn't do that well. Because if you never watched Jupiter Ascending, then I don't know what planet you're on.
It's a fucking great movie.
Because like literally that movie is what's going on. Like it took The Matrix and went like, okay, let's give to the people who really want to understand what's going on and actually in this real world shit and the ancestry and the past lives. It was like a combination of all of it in one. And I thought it was very ironic that they picked Mila Kunis to be Jupiter. Remember her name is Jupiter. Jupiter, and fucking that it at the beginning of the movie it talks about her being born in between fucking trans, right, like transitioning. She wasn't born in fucking a country in the international waters, and that they knew there was Jupiter at that time Jupiter was rising in the constellation of Leo that night, right? Mm-hmm. And that's why that she was the past life queen of the fucking universe.
Was that House of Brachus?
The House of Brachus, who was in control of Earth, who owned Earth and used it to harvest
Earth.
Harvest Earth for...
And guess what they are? Reptilians.
They use reptilians. But really they were beings that were using the energy of humans to keep them alive and youthful.
Yeah.
Right? So it was Jupiter who then comes back and they tried to kill her using the Greys. And it was Jupiter who goes back and then she wakes up and realizes this. And comes back and fucking becomes queen and is able to get through the whole system because they look at her fucking DNA and they go, you are the fucking queen from past life, and fucking go boom, 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 boom. You're in and you're locked and loaded. And then they try and fool her. And then she has to go to war with fucking the House of Brachus guy. Oh, yeah.
And fucking Channing Tatum.
Yeah, I know. He's such
Channing Tatum's a badass.
Well, no. I'm talking about the House of Brachus.
That guy's fucking crazy.
Like, yeah, he did such a... No!
He did a good job.
Like, he did such a good job of like...
That whole movie's dope. Go watch that movie.
I know. And they go to Jupiter, remember? Into the red... They go to the red fucking...
You never believe that, like...
I know.
The dark lives in Jupiter.
Exactly, in the red fucking storm of the red giant, like in that big red spot, and that's where it all goes down.
Yeah,
the fight of it all to save the Earth to not it be harvested. So when I see Mila Kunis right now up here as a Leo right now with Saturn and Aquarius with an Aquarius fucking boyfriend, or like I don't even think they're married. Boyfriend who's fucking got vasculitis. And you look at the aura. Look at his eyes. Look at her eyes. Hers are open. His are not fully open. Look at his face too. There's something weird about his cheeks. There's something. Read his aura. Look at the shirt. He didn't even care about the shirt he's wearing. He's a fucking celebrity with millions of dollars, and he's got fucking. Look at that shirt. It's not even around his neck correctly.
No. He's
struggling.
bummed.
He is struggling. And you can see
In a
her,
bad
she's
place.
like not all gone. Maybe she didn't take it. She's a Leo. She fucking was probably like, fuck that.
Which would be interesting if she didn't,
Correct.
just because that played off a lot of the stuff we talked about tonight.
Correct.
But look at her face. Even if she didn't take it, how stoked
Yeah, but I mean,
does she look?
I
right
mean,
now?
I have it to where people could see, right? Like, you tell me who has an aura still and who doesn't. It looks like her aura is low, but it looks like she has an aura.
Yeah.
It looks like he has no aura left.
Yeah.
And it looks like on her face, when I read her face, like, how the fuck am I still going through this? And how did this
Exactly.
happen? And she's
Exactly.
crushed.
Don't be that right
And
now.
she's fucking definitely like, God, I am stuck in the old frequency.
100%.
That's what it looks like on her eyes and in her soul when you read into it. Look at her body posture away from him. She's leaning away from him. Her head is tilted literally the other way. Like, I'm about to leave this frequency and go to the new frequency. She's ready to jump.
I'll catch her.
Yeah, you go ahead, catch her.
I'm
But
kidding.
like that's what I'm saying. Like, I gotta, like, this is what we're dealing with, people. This has just happened today. He was silent for the last year and a half.
Yeah, that's a trip. When you brought him up, I was like, fuck, I haven't
Right?
heard anything about this guy
And
in forever.
literally,
And here we are.
she's doing this, you know. And I know as a Leo, right? I'm like,
That's not.
usually I'm
Leo
more
in
like
love-
a
a
Leo.
Leo
I'm more
in-
like,
a Leo
you know,
in
it's like
love
a
is
microphone
not-
thing. It's more like, hey, yeah, like,
Yeah.
you know, she's more like, you know,
Yeah.
like,
That's not a Leo in love.
oh God,
That's
like,
not a Leo in happiness.
No,
and
it's
union,
not.
no.
So, you know, and you can see her eyes are open. His shirt, like, look at his shirt, his aura, it's like gone. His face and his cheeks look weird. And look at, he's not even taking care of his hair either. Look at when a fucking anybody, especially a man, doesn't even care about their hair like that, where it's just like, look at, it's not even like cut really nice. It's fucking like, it's just like flopping there. Look at, he just shaved recently, just like trimmed up just to be on TV, and just was like, fuck, I'll just put this shirt on with a fucking thing. And it's like, look at the shirt. That shirt probably is 3 days old. Or he got it out of the hamper. At least she showed up like a Leo and put on a nice sweater and fucking did her hair and just put it back to look, okay, you're looking laid back. I'll look as laid back as I can. But she's not trying to look laid back. She's still trying to show that she's got style. But you could tell in her eyes and you could tell in her soul, there's something there and it's trying to move away. You could tell with him, his posture, he's trying to lean towards her and she's leaning away. And I bet you she's probably at the end of her rope about the whole thing.
Yeah, he looks very.
Guaranteed. This
He
is the
looks very
kind
like
of shit
out,
going
like
down.
disconnected out of his whole.
I wouldn't be surprised if we hear something more about this with this full moon in Leo or Aquarius with the sun in Leo and the square to Uranus and the fucking shit.
Right.
With these two being Leo Aquarius,
Right.
this would be the ultimate fucking thing that will be a huge trigger. If he fucking, you know what I mean? If they break up, that's how you know the old frequency you gotta fucking leave. Like, and that's where, like, you know, she's probably like feeling like, oh, I can't leave him because he's got this. And that's how the dark sucks you in. Like, that's rough, but
Super rough.
you know,
But that's how it has to be. Because she might have some aura there, but she's trying to get out. She's trying to
it's a good way to kind of go back to the full, like,
trying to be
loop.
done. The full what?
The full, like, loop from the beginning of the show to now.
Oh, right.
Like, you can't fuck around anymore, folks.
Sometimes you gotta end things.
No, and you can't, that guilt and shame thing, especially, right? Like, of like, oh, you gotta, like, you know, stay through. They're going through hard shit, but they took the old program and they're staying in the old program and they're not, and they're frustrated, they're mad, and now he has to worry about his whole rest of his life. Is he gonna stay alive? Right? Like,
Best
and of
luck
course
to
you can
him.
love people, but I, you know what? I'm a reader and I can read that she did not take that shit and she was like, fuck this shit. you know, I know for sure because I was on that show and there was a lot of weird stuff that happened. Not like bad, but just like, you know, there's just the stuff that happens when you get to know people and all that. And I could just tell you this, that fucking, when they first got together, like she smoked cigarettes. And that's what she likes to do, is sit on the beach in Malibu. And Ashton started smoking because she smoked, and she likes to smoke cigarettes and just chill and watch the ocean.
Leos.
I know. I'm like, that's such a Leo thing. I'm like, so I knew it was true because of the first, this is the first party that I got this from, guarantee. Like, you know, no. And I asked, like, how was it? You know, like right after they were there. And of course I wasn't allowed to be there because the guy that fucking was trying to come after fucking Erica at the time, fucking, who was trying to play volleyball with me to be my buddy, you know, that guy, who's a Leo too, ironically. Because when Eric and I became famous from the show and all that shit, fucking all the fucking people that were part of the production and shit started popping out like, oh, look at you two. Mm-hmm. So people don't get. So I could just tell you that this is a very deep connected story to me. I mean, even right when the show was coming out, Ashton Kutcher owned a restaurant in West Hollywood called Ketchup, right? And all of us on True Beauty went, like 5 or 6 of us, went to his restaurant. And then he wouldn't come out and hang out with us. You're like, what the fuck? You know? But like, his buddy, fucking Jason Goldberg and fucking all this shit. I know the whole thing. Mm-hmm. So I can tell you that stop playing with old programs. People living in the old program. Stop trying to date them. And if you're in the new program and you're with somebody in the old program, you got to leave. And that's heartbreaking and all that shit. But do you want to wake up and they're dead next to you?
It'll get better.
One of my exes from way back in the day was you know, the fiance to Rev from Avenged Sevenfold here in Huntington Beach, and he overdosed on heroin next to her in the bed in 2009 at the Mars retrograde in Leo. I'll never forget this. And that end of that, it was like right when the winter started, and then she called me right after, and after all that, and she came and stayed with me for a couple weeks, and I was fucking like dealing with that. And she's an Aquarius, I'm a Leo. So I've been through this scenario before. Mm-hmm. And, you know, like that takes a long time to get over. And it was very difficult for her to ever like let that go, you know? And that's why I was like, it's not going to work. I'm going to have to like, you know, is there another place you can go stay? Because like, I can't just be here holding this lover of yours who died off heroin next to you in the bed and here with me in my own heart. And that was a Mars retrograde in Leo. That was interesting. And I remember at the time, like all the Aquarians at that time, and Saturn and Leo had just done. And I remember during Saturn Leo and then Saturn Virgo, I remember every Aquarius, I just wanted them so bad and I couldn't have them. And now all the Aquarians that have wanted me as a Leo, I've been like, nope. And I'm like, I actually had this like thought, it was like a couple nights ago. I was like, wow, they're feeling how I probably felt
14 years ago.
Yeah, like 15, 16 years, 17 years ago. I'm like, that's fucking crazy. That when the opposite thing happens in Saturn, Mila Kunis right now is like not into Ashton. Ashton was probably hard to get, you know, back when they got together, and like she fucking was just kind of feeling like left out. Now he's like, I need you. And she's like, you fell for the program, bitch.
Sorry.
I'm not saying Aquarians all follow the program, you know. No. I know a lot of Aquarians who haven't, but it's totally. Like, you know, it's like, fuck, man. Or even my dad, who was double Aquarius, right? And like him dying in fucking September of last year, and fucking me doing all that. When Leo Aquarius right now, fucking vibe, like holy fuck. During these cycles,
it's a lot.
And so there, I think the relationship that's popped up on the same day that Trump gets raided by the FBI, this is the new thing to pay attention to. This is going to be your gauge right now. If you're with an old program or you're trying to date an old program and you're in the new fucking frequency, this is the fucking best fucking way that I could fucking, and where we could fucking, I think, deliver people a message of breakups and all these kind of things, and that it's a different thing now. You're not breaking up. You're stepping into your higher frequency. You're not breaking out.
It's literally a
like the
graduation.
breakup should be breakout. It's like I am breaking out of the old frequency.
That's a good, change the term in your own life. It's not a breakup, it's a breakout. Fuck yeah.
Yeah. Like I wasn't able to see, like in my divorce, like it was like she broke out because it was more of like freeing me to find somebody who would want to support what I was saying instead of suppress it and wanted to erase it and not like know that I was ever around.
Yeah.
Like, wow, you know? So that it's a blessing, you know, you got to look at it that way. The show's deep.
Deep.
It's
good.
Well, thanks for being a part of Spiritual Daddy. Make sure you look at the links down below to be part of highvibe.tv for all the daily and all the original content that we do. You know, this show and also Before Dawn and any of my new moons or full moons and spiritual dance music are the only shows that are on my YouTube. Every other show, all the dailies, deep astrology, fucking my weekly tarot, my weekly intuitive, my weekend horoscope, full disclosure with Natalie, where we talk about the stuff we can't talk about here on YouTube. All are on highvibe.tv for just 7-day free trial through your apps, Apple TV or Roku, but also through your iPhone or your Android. Or our website has the best deals where you can get 6-month plans for super cheap. And we even break down how much it is a day. It's like less than, I forgot, it's so cheap. But, you know, we're not out there, you know, like all these astrologers right now putting out like $24 a month. I'm like, what? Or $30 a month or whatever. We've never changed our pricing. We're $10.99 a month if you want to do monthly. And I've never changed that. So even through all this crazy fucking time of the inflation, I've not raised the prices. So appreciate you all. Appreciate all the support for High Vibe and appreciate you, Brian, and everybody out there. And we'll see you on the next Spiritual Daddy. Adios. Later.
Late.